show. And this time we're going to look at our pictures and our images because I wanted to actually get through the stuff that I've written. And so if I put it this way, maybe we'll focus on the material and we'll get the channeled notes that I've had for quite some time, and we'll get them posted, because it is important that we're moving through these beautiful summer energies. I'm so very excited. I absolutely love the summertime. It's one of my favorite times of year. Well, every time of the year is my favorite time of year. But the summer energies are really exciting for me because it is a bit of an amplification. And those of us that are star seeds and crystals and indigos, it gives us a little bit more to play with. So we're really, really happy and excited. Hello, sweetheart. And we're actually going to get through our notes today. So I've last couple of times I've said I'm going to get through these channeled notes, and I never do, because I end up getting off topic as I do, because that's what I do. So we wanted to go through our clairs again, practicing and creating in higher vibrational experiences. What does that mean to practice higher vibrational? I know the last couple of days I've absolutely been feeling the celestial energies coming into my field. So it's really, really fun, because it means that all of the clearing and the cleansing and the healing I've done from old karmic toxic timelines are starting to be more and more released. So I'm aligning more and more with my authenticity. So it's really making me feel happy. And I said this morning in one of my posts, trusting that whatever is meant for you is always going to be in your path, because as you're moving around in the spiral of ascension, and this is a top-down effect of the toroidal right here, so no matter where you are in your spiral of ascension, you're always going to be offered those things from your teams and from your aspects of your higher self. You're leaving yourself those, we've called them energetic touch points. So you've left yourself little clues and hints and cues along your way, along your path, so that you're always going to be aligned with that highest and best of your creative excitement. What is creatively exciting for you? What is meant for you on your path? And there are certain things we talk about all the time in our soul's blueprint. There are certain things in our soul's blueprint that is always meant for us to explore, to experience, and to express in new ways, because of our lineage, because of the doctrine that, and I say doctrine very loosely, I say it as a higher vibrational from a 13th perspective, because if we know that our soul's blueprint has a lot to do with, for instance, the heavenly divine families. If that is my lineage of royalty, if you will, it's meant to keep continuance of the Melchizedekian teachings, the Metatronic teachings of the Christed light, of the Christ consciousness. So I know that that is a major theme. So in that, it's up to the Father and the highest teams at the highest vibrational dimensions, a 13th dimension, to assist in the planning and the outlining and the designing of Keoku. Now that we're on this beautiful path of ascension, and if she's going to be taking this type of a role within the Melchizedekian and the Metatronic light, Christ consciousness, she's following and getting that trickle-down effect from all of those above me in the higher dimensions, and they're always feeding me, and we're always in our classes, and we're doing the things that we do in our higher light times, in the ethereal times, in our dream times, so that when you do wake up, you're kind of continuing what you're doing in the nighttime. And then it's your teams, your higher vibrational teams, they're celestials. Usually at this point, they're from the 7th dimension and up, especially at this point of our ascension. So usually your guides and your teams are usually from the 7th dimensional up. And then there's also, you have teams in your soul family that are 5th and 6th dimensional on other planets, but they're not necessarily your direct guides. They can be called in to be, kind of onlookers of your path, because they are preparing to be guides at the 7th and 8th and 9th dimensional levels. So there might be a 5th dimensional or 6th dimensional guide that is interested in doing the DNA and the brain enhancements that my teams and my guides do, that I'm constantly in contact with. And so they play kind of a second seat, if you will. And so it's always that trickle down. It's that cascading effect. So these ones that are moving up the vibrational ladder, and it's no different than what we are. We're moving from 3D to 5D. So when we get to that 5D experience, we're going to be learning how to split our consciousness so that we can play kind of second seat to our guides that are in the 7th dimension, working with the ones that are just coming through ascension right now. So it is a constant. We are preparing ourselves to be guides. I had a fun conversation with my guides one day when we were, going through one of my more challenging transitions as usual. And I was saying to my guide, the one that is always with me, that is constantly my right-hand man, if you will. And I said, I never want to be a guide. I don't want to be a guide because you have such an important and a profound role. I said, I would never want that. I would never want that responsibility, because I can't imagine what my main guide, I call him my master guide, he's just he knows how I feel in the bedding of being a conduit. I can see things at a multidimensional, feel things at a multidimensional perspective. And they did have a couple of guides that he went away to go do some training and things like that with his counterpart. And I had these step-in guides, and although they were lovely guides, and I love them, and they know that I love them, but when my master guide left, it was a very evident difference in the way that I was communicating with these guides, because I knew right away that it wasn't trainer. So I said, I was asking, I said, where is trainer? He's the only one that knows how I feel in these situations, and it was kind of giving me a bit of an anxiety. And so they said, trainer's just stepped away. He's doing some training. He also has to look after his light body and things like that. And I said, I know, how selfish of me, right? Like, he's supposed to be there for me every second. But for me, it was an anxiety, because he knows that when I'm going through a shift, or when they're doing some enhancements, or when I'm letting something go, or when I'm healing something, these sheaths that I can see and feel, he knows how to look at me from that guide perspective, and he knows how to calm me down, or he knows how to adjust things, or he knows how to take things away and add things, because it is such an overwhelming feeling response. I'm like a mechanism of him. And so he is, say, the seventh moving, he's moving into the eighth dimension, and I'm here third to fifth. And if I can see things the way I do in this sheath kind of way, and if there's something here that's really bothering, but I'm still feeling this, and this, he knows, when I'm speaking with him and I'm explaining things to him, and why this is such a hurdle for me, or how come I'm getting stuck up on this and I need to kind of remove this. It affects all of these other things. And so he understands that and knows that. So he can look at the multidimensionality of me, and he assists me in working through it, whether it's a physical, a mental, emotional, or a spiritual kind of thing. So this is where working with your teams is so important, especially if you're highly gifted. I suggest working with your teams as often as possible, as much as possible, because when you do have those moments, especially if you are high functioning, or you are highly sensitive, or you are highly intuitive, when the gifts get turned on, and when you're working with these different multidimensional fields, especially where we're moving into the deeper galactic centers, and you're moving into a higher psychic experience, and you go back to my videos, and again, do your homework. When we're moving into a higher galactic experience, your senses are going to be even more sensitive. So you have to get to know who you are, what you exist within, and what's going on within you. And when certain gifts get turned on, and you've had certain DNA activations, I know what I know, because I do this all the time. This is what I do every day. And I have that comfortability, and I have that engagement with my teams. And I can say, if there is something going on with a brain enhancement, and I can feel somewhere in the brain of where it's going on, whether it's a parietal lobe, whether it's the cerebellum, it depends on where in the brain I'm feeling something. I'll ask my teams, what's going on over there? What are we doing? So that's the type of engagement that I have with my teams. And then if there's something that I'm working on, as I just explained, if this was really catching me up for a couple of days, but I know that it's affected to these other 2 stories or 3 stories, or somebody that I'm going to be helping out in a similar way, because it's all multidimensionally layered, then my team's, my main guide, he knows how to come in and calm me down, and he knows how to say, we'll move this energy, and he'll give me a few questions, or he'll say something so that I'm just relaxing into the energy a bit more, because especially for us that are highly sensitive, and we have many gifts, right? It's not just one Claire, but if you have many gifts, and this one particular experience you've had to move into, whether you've just moved to a new city, you've met somebody new, or you've met this species you're not aware of, or you've come into, you're meeting with a group of people, and there's an energy in the group that triggers you, that is a new energy you've never dealt with before. So these are the things that are meant to happen. You're meant to have these vibrational triggers. You're meant to have these vibrational nuances, because you're meant to pay attention to it. You're meant to say, why am I feeling so different with this one experience that just doesn't seem to leave me alone, or it's just bothering me in a certain way? And you've got to work it out. You've got to sit at the table, and you've got to work with your guides. This situation, I know it's linked to these ones, because I can feel them. I call them backups or backseat. This is related to the backseat issues here, because it comes into, gives you an introduction. This vibration might introduce you to something else. It might not be as important. These might not be as important, but it is introducing you to these energies here. So it does need to be there. Everything needs to be there. It's all valid. Everything that we experience in our life is valid. Just as we say that if it's written in your destiny, if it's written in your soul's blueprint, it's going to be there. You don't have to worry about it. So just relax and ease your way through, because it's never a race. You never want to rush through. You always want to take the long and slow game, because you want to understand what's going on with your vibrational bodies, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. And as we're moving into these new space-time experiences, new timelines, new energies, new groups, new tribes, there's going to be a lot of species around you. You're going to have a shifting of guides. You know, when you're moving up in a certain dimensional thread, you're going to have guides that come in so that this guide, your main guide perhaps, can go and take a couple of months break in our time, because they don't move about in time and space that way. But they can take a bit more of a time off, because they know in maybe 6 months from now, your main guide is going to be really needed for you, because there's going to be something big come in here that you're going to have to need their expertise in. So you always have this shifting and moving of guides, anywhere from 3 to 7 to 10 guides that coming and going. Like Isis, she was one of my guides, and one of Isis's main roles with me is being a divine feminine, is that she is responsible for looking at the whole of me, all of these aspects, the soul aspects of me on the different dimensional threads. And part of her job is, and part of her role is, she's part of my oversoul family, is she's meant to look at all of the other aspects of me on the other bandwidths and on the other threads. So this is, let's just say this is where I am right now, entering into 5D experience. Her responsibility is to see how I'm doing in this particular moment right now, and she works with my guides, right? She works with my guides. And she looks at all of these other aspects to see how these other aspects are doing into the effect of the one that's going right now. So part of her job is to see how are the trickle-down effects, how are the other aspects that are more closely related to this particular timeline where I am right now, and how are they affecting me. So she is there to say, maybe she can go and inspire this soul aspect, because this soul aspect is moving into a really important arena of, say, color healing or sound healing. So she'll inspire this soul aspect so that it activates my DNA in a way, or my sound or my clairaudience in a different way. So that's what Isis, one of her goals, one of her jobs with me is she's responsible for looking at all of the other aspects in the local dimensional arenas, and she's there to see if there's any one of my soul aspects that are pulling back, that are having trouble with a certain arena. If one of my very important gifts to offer humanity is my clairaudience, she will, because she is also she's also trained and very highly gifted in color healing and sound healing. So that part of her role is my soul family, is to assist in looking at all the other aspects. Maybe there's a really higher vibrational aspect here that can look and offer something so that the other aspects can also be kept up to date. So because if you can see and imagine that this is a spinning wheel of sound and vibration and harmonics. So it's very important that you have certain guides all the way up to the 13th dimension that are there to just give touch point vibrational alignments. And it could be just, she could just be there one day and she could just be offering sound healing, although I don't hear it in my dimension. But if she's offering intentional sound healing, it will move the energies of friction and frustration that I'm actually feeling in my physical body in this reality right now. So part of her job is to keep abreast of how are all the other aspects doing with regards to clairaudience, and how can she assist in moving into new light codes, because that's what my teams are working on right now. They're teaching me about the importance of light codes and what the guides in our higher vibrational beings, what their role is with these light codes that are coming down, because we're at a very profound experience that humanity's never gone through before. We're moving from 3D all the way up to 5D, but it is something that doesn't happen overnight. It is a minutia of back and forth. It is a minutia of 5 steps forward, 3 steps back. But it is up to every person, and why I empower everybody every day. The more that you work with your guides every day, the more that you work with your gifts, the more that you do the tips and the techniques and the practices that I show you. And if you wanted to book an appointment to go through your specific skills and gifts and talents and where you find your best excitement, so that you can get something that works for you. Me, I'm always a visual person, and I'm high functioning, so I do have to work at different things for my excitement, and how I get triggered with information, and how if I'm writing something out, I'll draw something or I'll note something, but that will be a download in and of itself. So then I know I got to pull that up. So for me, it's a trickle down effect. That's what I do on my drawings. I do paper to handwork, because if I'm drawing something, I might not know in the moment why I'm drawing it, but I'll go back to it and I said, oh, that's a download. Let's go and expand into it. So those are my 3 E's. So I'm always working with what works for me so that I can expand all of the gifts and skills that I'm being offered in any moment. And I don't know I'm being offered them. I don't know it's a download until I do it. So that's why it's really important to trust the practice, trust the play, trust why you're being excited to start painting, why you're being excited to read more or research quantum physics or research the omnipresent field. And just know that everything that's written in 3D, if it's not written from a channel, they'll be writing it from the 3D perspective of the science and church and state, which is very separative. They don't include God in science at all, and God is everything that is life. So it has to be, it has to be all about science. And so just know that. So Source Creator is held within it. And as we said again, as we're raising our vibration up in dimensional frequency, we're going to have more say over the science that we live within because our consciousness is everything. As you're raising your consciousness is what? Your consciousness is the experience of I am with the I am. So it's the 3 E's with God's Source Creator. So the more experienced and exploratory and expressive you are, you're going to have that expansive 3 E's consciousness with Source Creator. That's why you can always tell, again, those of us that are practiced, those of us that are untrained, those of us that do the work, it is a natural 3E consciousness level. I wouldn't be able to teach about consciousness if I didn't go through the practice, if I didn't go through the trials and errors, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, if I'm constantly talking with my teams. That is consciousness. So the bigger and expansive bubble you are, the bigger in the breath and the inhale and exhale of Source Creator, that is the experience of your I am presence as godliness. But you can't know it and do it unless you're doing your 3 E's. That's consciousness. Those that sit in very small bubbles and they only live within a church and state belief dogmatic system, they're leaving and they're putting all of their energies into the book they stand behind or the Bible they stand behind or the practices they stand behind, and they're not going into the actual consciousness of life. God is life and life is God. Consciousness of the flowers, consciousness of the trees, and there is a specific vibrational harmonic for the trees, there's a vibrational harmonic for the flowers and for the insects. That is consciousness. So the more that you explore it as the all that is, life is God and God is life, that's your expanding and co-creating consciousness, that you're embedding yourself in the omnipresence. And that's being fully present. That's what's called being the belly of presence, because all of your chakra systems, all of your gifts, all of your skills are knowing that you are in the actual, you are in the equal, you are in the now inhale, and the exhale is being consciously in alignment with Source Creator God. And what is that? It is the alignment, the relationship, and the engagement. You're engaging with life in and of itself as God. That means you have a very big consciousness. You can catch the sounds that are happening around you. That's consciousness. And when you're more consciously awake and aware, we'll just give you an example. If you're sitting at a park and you're sitting at the trunk of a tree and you're enjoying, you've got your eyes closed and you're meditating with intention, you've got your chakras aligned, and you're just giving yourself that intuition guidance to sit and be open for whatever Source Creator, the omnipresence, has for you to come forward and to allow you the awakening journey process. Like, is there anything you'd like to speak with me and any download you'd like to give me, and just be present with the energy of the omnipresent. You're being present with your allness. You're being present with your consciousness is allness. You're being present in the awareness that I'm sitting down and I'm engaging with intention to be present with the allness of consciousness of God. That is allowing you that now moment godliness, because you're giving it equality. Remember, it's always equal measure. And whatever is going to come out from the higher self and the guides in all creation, Gaia, the elementals, the fairies, the gnomes, all of the beings, all the nature animals, this is why when you do such intentions, you're giving yourself the intention of being an equal measure of all godliness. And this is where we have to step outside of the 3D teachings of church and state, because we can have infinite exploration of education by going out and being more consciously aware and aligned and awake with nature than we can sitting in a classroom learning about algebra. Because you can get activated in the sciences and nature. That's why we've always been taught in nature. We've always learned in nature. We're just nature beings. You know, they do have temples and learning temples in other planets and other ways, but they do it mostly through their consciousness. They move in those journeys through their consciousness. They don't have buildings they go to necessarily. They do have some light temples, but most of the buildings are through their consciousness, because consciousness is all. You take your consciousness there. And this is, again, where we're going to be learning by location and all of the things that we're going to be learning through our consciousness. So I'm giving you examples on what consciousness really is. Consciousness is the inhale, the exhale of giving yourself intention and momentum in the present moment of you being your godliness in the godliness that is offered. As you raise your awareness, as we said, if you're sitting at the trunk of the tree and you practice starting to become more consciously awake and aware, You're now tuning all of your clairs. You're now tuning your physical, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual bodies, even your sexual body. And you're going to do your practices that we teach you about calling all your soul fragment energies in, calling your light in, calling your energy in. You're calling your higher self and you're grounding yourself. You're giving yourself a cleansing and a clearing, getting all the energies that are out of your field that need to be out of your field and cutting any cords, taking responsibility for the maintenance and the sustenance of your field and your chakras. It's a daily practice like brushing your teeth. And then when you're in that meditation space and you're ready to be open to all that source is and to do your consciousness learning, you're going to be gifted and you're going to be a part of that journey, step in step, foot in foot. It's not going to be ahead of you, if you will, and you're not going to feel as if you're wanting to catch up, because when you're first awakening, that can seem how it is, because you always put these ego expectations on what it's like to be with source. You're with source all the time. It's just now we're wanting you to train yourself to be consciously aware that every moment you're with source, you're with God. Every moment. You cannot not be, because God's all life, right? The more consciously aware and awake you are, if we go back to that person sitting at the tree trunk, that person that's sitting at the tree trunk, wherever that person's consciousness is residing, it's offering itself a higher potential consciousness, because it is giving itself its intention, its direction, and its focus to be consciously in harmony, consciously in equal measure with God, source creator. Whatever God and however that being is able to ride up that dimensional ladder, if you will. We don't say this egoically, because we know there's lots of people on the line that are new at awakening. They say, well, I want to see if I can go all the way up to 13, because it's a game, because they always want to chase and race to the end. And that's not what we're talking about. Again, sit back and just allow the ego to take a break. You can, whatever that person is sitting at in their conscious awareness of a 3D being, it can say, okay, I'd like to clear and cleanse and work my way, whatever the highest consciousness thought is, my higher self, please bring it to me. What is it that I need to know, to be aware of, to clear and heal? And that way you're offering your body and your mind and your soul and your spirit, whatever is needed at its highest and its best. Now, again, because there's so many people that are just awakening, wherever you're at in your spiral of ascension right now is exactly where it's meant to be. So again, you're never going to miss what you're meant to clear. You're never going to miss what's meant to be known. You're never going to miss what's meant to be activated, because you have to work through the long journey, the long and slow journey. You have to be okay with just allowing God and source creating your teams and your higher self to bring forward what needs to bring forward, because you're not going to raise your consciousness unless you're doing the healing. Your soul fragment healing of the divine feminine masculine energies, and then getting to know yourself at that multidimensional perspective, of your doing your alchemy and understanding the process of ascension, understanding how you're working through energies, understanding how you're working through the densities and you're moving up in light. All of those are needed, because you cannot raise your consciousness and understand what you're being given at a higher dimensional level unless you're doing the minutia. You're doing the churning. And so this is what I teach you. I teach you how to be aware and awake at a higher consciousness level, if you will. It's always going to be quality over quantity. And this is where we've seen the people that have been attacking me and the cults and the covens. They've had the dogmatic mindset, and they've been living in experiences of award and reward, because they're driven by the end game. They're driven by the result. They're driven by cheating and taking and copying. That's what they're driven by, because they're driven by false notions, and those are the dogmatic notions. Those are the church and state notions of being the highest and the best. This is where our schools will change. They won't be grading systems anymore, because every individual is different. How could you grade a class of grade 7 students if every one of those grade 7 students have a different coding of DNA? They come with different gifts and skills and talents. One person might have a high clairaudient experience, and one might have a high clairtangent. So they're learning in two different ways, where they're getting and receiving information in different ways, but they're being graded in the same old way concepts. So that person that has a different set of skill sets, they receive information in a different way, they receive compound information in a different way, but they're not processing it in the same manner. This is where we have to move school and education in different ways. It has to be higher light wisdoms, so that we're understanding that everybody comes with a unique DNA, and it's opened at different times based on what you're working through in your ability to be in relationship with consciousness. To know that God, source creator, is all moments, is all ways, is all creation. And the dimension that you're in is going to expand and it's going to contract in every way, that because you're only responsible for you, you're not responsible for everybody else, and they're working of their consciousness. But the more that you sit and work within a loving 3E experience of your moment for moment life being in breath with source creator, you're actually expanding the bandwidth of that dimensional thread that you're on. So consciousness is expanding and contracting every time that you choose to do so, because you're intending to be in equal measure with all creation. So whatever dimensional bandwidth you're in that moment is exactly where you're meant to be, and you're going to get the maximum potential of whatever that bandwidth offers you. God's going to say, wow, look at her. She's opening up. Let's get her one of these. That's how God has always said to me, just leave enough room. Because I'm so highly aware and I'm so highly acutely aware, I can tell my guides have to be play an extra, they have to go extra steps, if you will, because I can tell what's coming. I can see, I can predict. I have that psychic ability. So they have to veil things 2 and 3 times in different ways. And they have to cloak things in different ways so that I'm not losing myself out of the surprise that they want to give me sometimes. And so, but this is how I work with energy. This is my excitement. So I can work with something and I can say, what does that really mean? And I can go in it in that breath of inhale and exhale. And I'm actually working with consciousness, expanding consciousness. This is how I know what I know. Because in those moments that I'm just being me, and I'm asking my teams, and I'm navigating around conversations with my teams, I can feel the energy of what they're working in at a 7th dimensional level, if you will, and I can start asking questions, and they'll say, okay, we're gonna have to change our path because she's already got the answer on that. And so I navigate because I can feel the energy, and I just pick up the story of what they're traveling in, and they have to cloak certain things for me because they do want a few things to be a surprise for me. But I'm navigating my way in and around energy. And this is the way that the kids are going to start to connect and understand their arenas and their realities right now. But there's nothing in our outer reality that's teaching them and showing them higher consciousness ways to work with their gifts in a responsible and a mature way, and to use their gifts to the highest level of benevolence, instead of the outer distractions that are very, they're very imbalanced and they're very violent, a lot of the distractions. Like the gaming and things like that. But it's going to change. It's going to be a lot more higher intentional and higher intellectual, because this is where the children are guiding us, right? But I'm just giving you these examples. And when you're sitting at that tree and you're choosing to be intentional with your consciousness expansion, know that wherever you sit in your consciousness, you are choosing to intentionally expand and co-create and contract with creation. And if you do these practices that I'm offering you, you will find yourself within 2 weeks, because the first week is going to be like you've just opened up into a new reality, and you're going to feel, sometimes you will feel overwhelmed, because when you start to become intentional with energy, you're going to give your bodies and your cells and your fields and all that you have come with as a gift of a multidimensional being of giftedness, you're going to start opening that gate. But that's what I said, it's equally important. Again, it's always equal measure. It's always important to talk with your teams every day. Say, okay, teams, I want this week I want this to be the highest exciting week, because we're on planet Earth. We're starting to feel excited about living here. We're starting to feel excited about our bodies. We're starting to feel excited about, okay, I've done all the healing. Now I can start feeling good again. Now I can start creating. We're starting to feel exciting about where our co-creational reality is at, as opposed to it being all of our lives being just really crappy experiences that we've got to heal and we've got to transmute. So now we're entering in a new experience where, yes, you're going to be in this new cosmic soup. So the omnipresent, the substrates are going to be activating for you. They're going to be a lot more cosmic and celestial, which makes me feel very happy, because I'm feeling like I'm not left out anymore, and I've got my celestial friends always with me. Like this morning, I was on my walk that I normally take on my way to the library, and my celestial children were with me, and I could feel them. I call them just up, so I say they're just above me. So I just look at it like a cloud. So if I'm on this dimensional thread here, they're just up on a cloud right here, and they're all just kind of hovering, walking with me. But they're just in a removed dimension, kind of level up. So maybe they're 5th and 6th dimensional children that I'm helping in the galactic omnipresent. So this is just how I see energy. I see it in, again, the blankets and the sheaths. They're just slightly up. So I just know that they're really close with me. They're not 7th and 8th dimensional children. They're really close to me, because we're always working together to help prepare each other for being in union on a planet. So eventually this is what it's going to look like. But I'm just saying, we're getting used to seeing ourselves in pockets of removed consciousness, because it is removed, it's a sheath. You understand they're talking with you, but they're not in front of you in physical form, because you're preparing each other in the higher consciousness states. So they know how to be with me in higher consciousness states because they're slightly higher vibration than me. And I'm in a higher vibration physically than they are. So I'm in my physical body and I can feel them, because I just said they're just up and over. So that's like a cloud where they're sitting with me. They still have the opportunity to see my everyday physical life, because they're going to have to entrain themselves to the physical life. That's their responsibility. And my responsibility is to walk with them and be consciously awake and aware with them, and then just show them about the everyday life here and the things that the children may be having issues with and troubles with, or how our education systems can change and how they can help changing the education system. So again, this is a multidimensional experience that I'm showing you vibrationally, physically, mentally, and emotionally. All of these things that we're getting used to is being into these galactic doorways, if I guess, if you will. It's like we're going down this hallway. The many mansions, I've talked about those experiences of the many mansions, and you can be in this beautiful house that's given to you, and everyone has a mansion to themselves with God, Source Creator. And you might be going in the front door here, but you can see there's many levels to your house, and there's many rooms and doors and all the fun things that you have in your mansion. But right now you want to focus on this room over here because you hear some voices over here. It feels really fun and exciting. So you're going to go in this room and you're being consciously awake and aware to your celestial children that day. Again, you're directing your consciousness to what you're most excited to. So always follow your 3 E's. So as I was walking this morning and I was waiting for the crosswalk, light to change, the children were just talking with me and they were having fun with me. And I can feel them just hovering above in my consciousness, my conscious awareness. So they were close enough to me that I could telepathically communicate with them and I could feel them in my energy field. So I said, thank you for coming, children. Thank you for coming. And I love it when you're always with me because I just feel so loved and I love you so much. And so we just had this little communication and we're walking together telepathically. So this is where we want you to start practicing telepathically. We want you to start practicing with your clairaudience, your clairsentience. I felt them in my field before I started talking with them telepathically. I was walking with them and I was feeling them in my field and I said, oh, that feels nice. It feels like my celestial children are here. And they said, yes, Mommy, we're here. And then that's when they started telepathically communicating. So sometimes you'll feel the energies in your field. You'll feel the celestials in your field like we've talked about for many, many, many years. In my earliest radio shows, we've talked about all these experiences before. But now because we're going through this hallway, if you like, and the hallway is leading us to more and more galactic omnipresence. So you're going to be a lot more, again, we're going to give you another analogy. If you're walking in a kitchen and you have a grandmother or somebody in the kitchen that's been baking or cooking all day long, and you're smelling the accentuation of the different spices, you're feeling the warmth of the oven, you're feeling the flour on the counter. There's different senses that are going to come to life for you, and this is what it feels like to be high functioning. Because I can give you one story and I can go into it in an infinite number of ways. That's being a conduit. I can see how God wants me and I can play with God in that way. God will want me to taste and to touch and to feel and to sense and to know and go into that vibrational story. That's so rich. That's why as Mother said, it's a priceless journey. Nobody can offer what I offer. I can take a story and I can go into each little segment of spice and I can open the story up of that spice. I can open the story up of that. Now they're going into mediumship. Their mediumship is going to advance us in so many ways because it's going to give us ideas and pathways and portals. And we're going back to quantum physics. So again, they're leading me somewhere else. Again, these threads can go anywhere and always. This is how we know we're in big consciousness awakening times. Humanity has a huge precipice of growth. We're on the precipice of a huge growth, so it's very exciting for somebody like me. So finally, I get to be at an intelligent level where I'm just pouring out a ton of really great, profound information that's never been said and done before, but because we're at this new growth period, the Alexandria Era, the golden era. And so it's a lot of fun. So, we're going through the different experiences and the different examples I can give you about sensing and allowing yourself to be consciously awake with Source Creator, because it can be like this. It's so fun and it's so exciting. And the children have always been a little bit ahead of us. So get them used to working in these different ideas. And if you're teachers or if you're in a home with children, you can give them these experiences and just sit with their eyes closed and start using their third eye and give them examples like I'm just giving you. If you have a mansion and you can hear things going on in other rooms, what do you hear? Do you hear symphony music? Do you hear forest sounds? Give them these types of things where they can start working with their consciousness experiences, where it's going to start exploring and allowing them to expand within their consciousness, because that's what makes you a master of consciousness. That's your godliness, because you're doing it within yourself. You're creating the imagination, the creativity. If you're sitting down thinking about what your next song or movie can be about, you have to create it from within first. You're expanding those ideas from within first. What does the harmony want to sound like? What do the chords want to sound like? And then you start adding the pieces or the characters or the environments or the challenges, right? Because there's always those antagonistic and protagonist experiences to make the story, movable and learnable and expandable. You wouldn't want to always go to a movie if it's always the same ending. You want to have those moments where you're going to be learning in ways that you've never learned before. And this is where it's important for people like myself to come forward, because we can take a topic and we can take what's happening in our collective. We can take the new energies in our collective. We say, this is where we're sitting right now, and this is how you can move and navigate it for your highest and your best. You want to be able to get the best flavors and the best smells and the best experiences. And you want to be experiential so that when you're walking in that kitchen, you can be as voluptuous and as rich and as vibrant and as tasty and as deep as the spices are that are in the room. So this is where we want you to get rich with life. As the mother said, you're priceless within who you are. Because your DNA has been prepared over eons. We're going to have so many really great, I can just see them right now. I'm really, really excited to be me right now. We're going to have a lot of great conversations about the DNA, because even one codon here that gets activated because you're in such excitement to be you, and you are living in the now moment of God. You're doing and you're being, and you can have these experiences if you're going to the pool for a swim. You can have these experiences if you're going over to your brother's house for a meeting. You can have all of these in the now present moment experiences with God, practicing your 3 E's. But the videos that we're going to come out with the DNA is just going to be profound. They're going to be truly, I might even charge for those ones, because again, it's going to be such high vibrational information that has never been brought forward before, as it's going to be from here on out. But these ones are going to be just mind-boggling. The things that we're going to talk about, and I've just seen it at the back seat, if you will, because it's once removed. Because we're just waking up. It's like we're waking up to a Christmas day. We're waking up to the mansions, and all of a sudden you realize that you have this mansion. You've never been told you've had a mansion before, but you have a mansion. This is like what is waking up in your godliness. You have a mansion, and this mansion is connected to all dimensions. This mansion is connected to every gift, to every skill, to every body form. You've been a cetacean, you've been a lyran, you've been a feline, you've been a bird person, you've been all these things. You are all these things, because everything is now. You're spiraling in the omnipresent now. That's godliness. Godliness doesn't have judgment on any of these aspects of you. God does not have judgment. There is spiritual order, where if there is one dimensional thread that is being held back because there's groups of people that do not want this being to jump where they're meant to be jumping, to do what they're meant to be doing. So this being has been held back. This being has been held back because there's been cults and groups and covens that have refused to let this energy go. They want this energy to be back on a lower vibrational dimension. This energy should actually really be right about here by now, because it's learned everything it needs to learn. It's done its learning, it's done its forgiving, it's done its all its due process. And the teams are now saying the heavens have to come in and cut these cords. The heavens have to come in and now put them in a spiritual timeout, spiritual jail, where these beings are being sat down and all of their gifts and their skills and their talents have been stripped. That means they've been turned off physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, so that they're not going to keep trying to peer into, to akashically vibrate in perjury. Going into the people's akash is a no-no. So these people have been doing everything they can to make sure that I'm being held back, and they don't have the right. They don't have the right. Everybody had a bit of playtime because they had to balance off a karmic and akashic lessons for every side, right? They had to balance the karmic lessons on the positive and the negative. So God does allow, and your teams do allow, a certain amount of play, because it's up to you to learn how to protect your fields. It's up to you to learn how to stand in your power. It's up to you to set boundaries of rules of engagement for those that do abuse energy, for those that don't understand the consciousness level that you're working at, because they're working at a very low reptilian primordial level. And they're not crystalline like you. So they can't feel everything that you can feel. If someone's jacking off to you and you've said no 800 times, and you're sitting there saying, I can feel it and it's not okay, I've told you stop. I can see what you're doing. I can see you in your bedroom jacking off to me. It's not okay. Fuck off. So that's where you have to get used to the crystalline energy can feel everything at the minute. It can feel all the spices in the soup. So this is where we have to start educating and communicating, and we have to start bringing these high vibrational teachings forward to the collective, so that those people that are meant to actually live as high consciousness beings and actually get within the soup and get within the contraction and expansion of being source creator, then you wake up every day feeling really excited, going, oh my God, I can't wait to be me today. I can talk about the DNA. I never knew I could talk about the DNA, but I would love to talk about the DNA. Tomorrow I'm going to start a video and I'm just going to talk about the DNA. Give me my notes. Let's do this. This is where you just start trusting who you are as godliness, and all of these higher vibrational aspects of you that have been downloading to you for so very long. All this information has been sitting in your field. But what now? This is so exciting. We're going to give you a graduation golden button and a golden medal, because we've been talking about capacity and aptitude, and we've been going through the videos that we've been going through, if you go back to my very first videos, we've been preparing you for a very long time to be your highest capacity, your highest aptitude, the breath of the in and the out of being consciously in every moment of Source Creator. Because we've been going through all of this, and you listened to my videos every now and then, you're writing down the notes, and we're doing what you were asking you to do. Now you're at the point where, giving you an example where I'm at right now, where every moment is like, holy cow, I can do anything. I could write 2 or 3 chapters just on this one topic. I can do this because I'm all about teaching, and that's my theme. My soul's blueprint is the Metatronic light, Christ consciousness. That's my soul family's themes. So it makes me very, very excited. I love teaching about Source Creator. I love teaching about God. I love teaching about things that have never been taught about from the human's perspective, because I've also been 3D shut off human too. I was the black sheep, the shut off kid. So now I've gone through all of my healing. I've gone through the navigation. I've taken my time. I went through my path, the slow, long game. I took a lot of hell detours, and hell detours means that I went back to darker realms. I went back to darker universes to help out other fragments of vibrational threadings to deposit Christed light. So I did a lot of detours, and I did them for the greater good of all, knowing that because of where I sit within the galactic federations, the systems of light, the Mother, Father, God, and Divine Father's plan, because I have such trust there, I knew that no matter what happened in any of these realms, that God would always put me back together, and I would always be woken up in a new day, in a new set of consciousness. I just know that. And so this is where God said, one of my teams said recently to me, because I said, I'm still missing these pockets of time. There's still fragments of my soul story that it doesn't make sense to me. And they said, can you be okay with it not making sense? Because you've gone from, say, a universe here that's slightly lower, and we just moved you, and you've slipped, what do they call it, slip shifting? Slipstreaming, something like that. And sometimes it is frustrating. I'm going to be honest with you as a human, because I'm still in my human body, but there's aspects of my higher vibrational self that doesn't mind slipstreaming back and forth. It doesn't mind. It thinks it's fun. But me and the body is saying, well, hold the fuck on. That story doesn't make sense to me. I'm trying to heal and move through these 3D stories that are very dark and very painful. But that timeline that I just came from yesterday, that I was sitting there for a week, and I was going through that one timeline story, and I'm trying to heal this one timeline story, and all of a sudden I'm up here now, because they had to move me because of safety issue, right? So they slipstream me over here, and this dimensional universe over here doesn't have the attacking that is going on here. But I deposited when I needed to. The teachings and the offerings were happening there. Everything's being sorted out there because there's energies and things going on. So that's God's role, and that's the systems of light's role. That's everybody else's role. It's not my role. My role is just to deposit information, speak my truth, be the gatekeeper. And so I know what I'm doing in between all of these. But in the higher vibration, I'm now sitting here going, it's much more relaxed, it's much more open, it's much more easy. But I'm saying, but I still don't have closure on what just happened last week. So I have these conversations with my teams all the time. And I said, I need closure, truth, and clarity on these 3 issues. These 3 timeline experiences, I want closure. I'm not going to move any further until I get closure on these issues. Right? Like my birth information, my name and place of where I was born, and what's going on in certain areas. I want this closure, because it wants me to, I want to free up so that I can be higher vibrational in the 5D. And so they said to me, well, can it be okay that the stories that you know within yourself are not going to make sense because you're working from a multiverse perspective? So what story started here, it might only be one touch point, say here, it might be only like this story you just closed out had a dark occult theme. 2 or 3 stories here of the stories you are healing and closing out in 3-4D are also dark occult theme, because you have so many lifetimes, you have so many fragments. So you do slipstream, you do move in and out, and that is when you have to be very close with your teams, because you can get yourself into a mental and psychological stagnancy, because the ego, the healed part, the healed and the healing part of you wants to understand what the hell you just went through. Like, what the hell? Especially if you understand alchemy, if you understand, okay, well, I'm working on, the fear aspect of being sacrificed. I'm working on, the open aspect of knowing that I'm a white witch and I can have these skills and gifts. So when I work with the elementals or when I work with Gaia, you have all of these open-ended experiences that are part of your gifts and skills. You've got to balance the light and the dark, and know that when you're put in situations where you can use your gifts, Do you use it for the greater good, or do you use it to harm? And so this is where your teams will always test you. So you do have to have these soul tests. The ones that are in spiritual jail right now are the ones that have been using their gifts for harms, even though they've been told a billion times to stop, even though they've been told a billion times what the consequences are, they're still choosing to use their gifts to hurt people. So this is where now they're all in spiritual jail. All of them are in spiritual jail. 52, I think 115 now, it's getting up to 115 people that have been involved. Government, whatever level they're at, their gifts and skills have been stripped fully from them. And they are all in spiritual jail, and everything will be blocked financially, abundantly, health-wise. Everything will be blocked until everything is brought back into balance. So there is more and more clampdown, because Spirit is not going to allow you the leeway to move back and forth and to do what you need to do if you're constantly failing the initiations that they're putting in front of you. Are you moving into unity consciousness, yes or no? And you're given opportunities every day in multidimensional ways, because you have to, because we're multidimensional beings. You're given multidimensional tests and experiences every day. And if you're going to be a leader, a teacher, or a healer, especially if you're going to be a healer, you have to absolutely know what are you doing with the energy fields, and what is your intentions? Because if you're not healing yourself with great intention of love and self-joy, and you're not understanding the consciousness of the now moment of source, how are you going to operate with somebody else when you're asked to be a conduit, or you're asked to be a healer to assist somebody to move energy around? Can you move the energy around in the highest and greater good without having it be an ego trip for you? You have to understand the ego has to be surrendered. Whereas all of these people over here in their cults and covens, they live fully from their ego. They don't have any spirit connection. They're not connected to spirit. They would never be able to even come up with an ounce of what I've just said in the past hour, because they're not connected with spirit. Spirit is the only way that you can have higher vibrational information and wisdoms. You have to be aligned. You have to work with your conscience. You work with your teams. So in all of these experiences, I'm giving you examples of how you can be in the moment, measure for measure, breath for breath with Source Creator. And it's a more multidimensional experience. The higher in consciousness and the wider in consciousness you go. Every bandwidth is like it's like the spiral, right? It's like the spiral, but that bandwidth can be wider and wider and wider as higher and higher as you go up to the 13th dimension. They get higher and wider. And so, because it's a more refined harmonic, it's a more refined tune, it's a more refined song, but there's lots within that song, because you now have the refinement skills to navigate in and out, right? So I'm giving you examples of the things that I've gone through, and how, it is frustrating sometimes. Me and my teams work with it. Me and the physical body, I know that I've worked through this, and this, and I've been working very, very intently to close off certain dark occult abuses. And how can I create from what my experience has been, how can I create the momentum of the focus, intention, and direction to offer the collective? These are new laws we need, support and aid and financing and healing for those that have been through such. Many of the rings that are going into trafficking, many of them have been mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually abused. Any government program that has been intentional on such things, and most governments around the world, they do have technology like MK Ultra experiences and agendas and programs where they're not informing the people, and the people are not properly informed, the people are not properly given permissions. And all of these things are a global experience, and they have to be researched at a global level, they have to be acknowledged at a global level, and we have to start healing, creating support and aid, and transcending really arrogant, low vibrational control and domination power agendas, because they were created in fear. Fear is about control and power agendas. They created these agendas to allow them greater opportunity to have people being used covertly to create higher vibrational, how can I go in remote view? How can I remote here? How can I remote whatever it is? They wanted those gifts and skills of higher dimensional beings to be used in nefarious ways so that they can have a step ahead, a lead ahead. Well, if we're in higher consciousness, we're not going to need it. So let's start at higher consciousness first. Because if you're a higher consciousness being, you're not going to do all the things that these people want human weapons for anyways. Did you see the difference? Because we're healing the fear. When you heal the fear, you just know that you're breath for breath with source. There's no need for weapons. There's no need for nuclear weapons. There's no need for chemtrails. There's no need for trafficking, because you're a higher consciousness being. Everything that you get is within. Everything that I'm talking about, I don't need anything outside of me. Everything that we're talking about is your consciousness with God within. It is God. It is your godliness within.
You're just now allowing yourself to know the acceptance of it. You've got many mansions, and that many mansions offers you the opportunities to whatever is available, because your consciousness is unique, your DNA is unique, where you're activated is unique, your capacity and your aptitude is unique. If you're not working with it, you're not going to gain in it. This is where we have to feel, as a collective awakening, I want to be entrained to be a higher vibrational. If you want to be a higher vibrational being and start to align your 3D life to a 5D life, you have to start working with your gifts. You start working with your teams in a more intimate manner. Let them know how you're feeling, experiencing, sensing your way through life, moment for moment for moment for moment. And you can tell them, I'd like an experience tomorrow so that I can test my new gifts and skills. If an experience comes tomorrow, Spirit, can you please allow me to feel my way through it? And if I can turn something down or turn it up, can we have that negotiation with my team? And your teams will say, absolutely, thank you. Let's have a high vibrational conversation about this, because that's what your teams are there for. So this is the way that I work. Again, it's all free will. I teach about the process of ascension, inner and outer, as above, so below. I teach about what we're moving through, how to get used to what the collective energies are going to be experiencing. So I'm giving you kind of a heads up, because this is the summer months and we are moving into more of a galactic experience. Know that your sensings, and this is all divine timing, this is what God knows what God's doing. Everybody that has their divine plan, their soul's blueprint that's being activated, everybody's soul's blueprint is being activated in certain ways. Because there is the galactic and multi-galactic and multiverse agendas for ascension. Ascension is always an ongoing thing. It's just evolution. It's just ongoing. It's just a natural thing, and it's the exciting natural thing, and it's what you belong to. It's like going to school. You just say, well, I'm going through the evolution school. I'm going through the ascension school. It's just a normal thing that the whole universe knows and is a part of. There are those that choose with intention to play the darker side, and again, because they are in the darker realm, there's only so high they can go in their consciousness, because they have chosen not to entrain themselves in light. They have chosen not to accept themselves in light. But they will always remain in the lower realms. Now, I mean, anything is possible down the road, in time, if you will. If we say 1,000,000 years in time, if that lower realm, because there's no light in there, there's always entropy in the darker realms, how that operates and how Source operates in that to give them opportunities to ever move up in light in another dimension, another universe, because this universe is not going to be offering any more 3D human timelines. We're going to be moving up, and the higher and the lower vibrations keep moving up, and the higher vibrations keep moving up. So it's, instead of 13 dimensions, now we're going to be 14 and 15. This universe that was in the middle, there's a higher, a middle, and a lower. These lower aspects will go to the lower universe. And they might have an opportunity to go higher in the lower universe, but it's still going to be a lower vibrating universe. It won't be the universe vibrational threads and harmonics we're in right now. They may get an opportunity to work with light at a 3D level, but perhaps this universal energies, it's like looking through a foggy mirror. They will have opportunities for advancement, because that's always creation too. There's always infinite possibilities for evolution and expansion. But it's a very fogged reality, and this is where people like myself, we will be moving in and out of all universes because we have the operative to do so. We have the capacity and the aptitude. It's not very comfortable. I don't like going there. I don't like visiting the lower universe. It leaves me with trauma. So those are the things that I had to heal, and I closed the door on. And so my teams work very closely with me on those experiences, because they are very aggressive. It's a brutal, they live in a brutal time and space of what life is. But this lower universe holds a lot of the energies from a lot of the galactic wars that are having trouble healing. So there are some of us, the specialists, if you will, we have the ability, and my teams know how to navigate me. The federations, I have certain teams within the systems of light that know how to operate and move me in and out of dimensional vibrational threads and slipstreams. So I am that I am because of all the teams that I come with, because I play a part in the multiverse, and they're experts at what they do. They're experts at moving me overnight. so that these people over here might be on a bandwagon to come out and take me and target me and kill me. And even though the collective of supposed officials even know it, and they're turning a blind eye and they don't care because they're in that lower vibrational universe, they will always stay there and they will get the same postings on the social platforms that'll look different in their eyes and perspective, but at least I'm putting the information there, I'm putting the light there, I'm saying, no, I'm choosing to stand on my power, I'm using my sovereignty, I'm doing all of my ascension, awakening things. So that's offering things in this universe that were never offered before. So there are people awakening, there are people that are changing, there are people that are coming into higher consciousness because of me. They're seeing that there's definite things happening within the so-called, authorities and systems that are not serving the people of the greater good because it's all corrupt. It is much more corrupt than this universe. So I can slip back and forth and I can say, okay, what can we add to this universe so that we can bring better education, because there's going to be a whole wave of children that are going to need higher vibrational light intelligence. The systems are not light intelligent. So how can we start introducing light intelligence? What is light intelligence? I'm giving you examples. Everything I'm giving you is an example of light intelligence where you are absolutely multidimensional. Physically, mentally, emotionally, with your intellect. You can move in and out of universes and slipstream. I can tell when I'm in another universe. It doesn't necessarily look different on the physical perspective, but energetically it does, and it's uncomfortable. And I tell my teams, let's move me. I don't like the energy here. Let's move me. And they move me, and by the time I wake up, I'm in a different frequency. I'm in a different realm. And remember realms, we talked about realms. Realms are like the 3D. If we look at the 3D realm, there's lots of different realms on the third dimensional bandwidth. The fairy realm is a realm unto itself. They are unique to the realm of the fairies. They're unique to the realm of the gnomes. They're unique to the realm of the elementals. They're each unique realms, but it's still within the third dimensional bandwidth. It's still within the third dimensional ring of our universe. And there's infinite realms within a third dimension. The higher you go in dimension, the more wider the bandwidth. So that means there are going to be more fairy realms. Lots of fairy realms. There's cetacean realm. Lots of realms within the 3, 4, 5D. As we get to 5D, there's going to be more realms, is what we're trying to explain to you. There's going to be more realms at the entry gates of the 5D that we get to play with. We get to play with more celestial realms. So I'm really happy about that. Because again, as you can tell, I get really excited about all these different explorations. Why? Because this is a top-down effect of me. And as I was telling you earlier about Isis, Archangel Michael, can you please release any of those energies that are in the chat rooms, please, that are throwing energies at my throat chakra? I'm going to keep talking about my multidimensionality because it's who I am and I get to. That's my right. So this is an aspect of me and all of these other aspects of me, but this aspect of me is important because if my DNA, I need to be in my highest and my best, in my 3 E's and my 3 A's. If I'm being this and I'm being that, then my DNA gets activated, which activates these other DNAs. This is where I was telling you Isis of my souls and my oversoul teams and my guides and my teams that are always with me. This is why working with your teams is very important, because you get to understand consciousness, you get to understand all of the help that you have. So Isis is responsible for looking at these other aspects around me and how are they doing with light? How are they doing with sound? How are they doing with the color healing wisdoms that I actually have? Because Isis knows that there's going to be something happening on this timeline right here where I'm going to need those experiences and those expertise. So this is where your teams always are working together. Your teams are working together saying, okay, well, she's got this coming up here, and this is a part of her divine plan with Mother, Father, God. This is where nobody knows your blueprint, but only your guides and Mother, Father, God. And sometimes Mother, Father, God won't unfold anything until it's the last second, because for somebody like me, I know how to navigate in and around energies and I can feel it. So if there's something new that Mother, Father are putting there, I want to get in there and feel it. What did you put there? It's like putting a present under the Christmas tree that wasn't there the day before. So that's what I know. That's why I said threading. I get to thread and I get to weave. If I feel something in my field, I'm going to go there. So this is where you're opening up to more and more consciousness. You're opening up to more and more energies, and your DNA is a part of it. It's not all of it. Your DNA is not your DNA is not the engine of what you get in your gifts and skills and your talents. It's a part of it. It's all multidimensional. So this is where understanding, and again, not being so egoically driven as to the end game and the fastest. It's always quality over quantity. Your ascension path is never to cheat your way, because you'll always get thrown back, which is what all the cults and covens are learning right now. They had been getting away with so long with the dark occult practices for thousands of years. They've been getting away with never aligning with universal laws because they were never told they had to. So for thousands of years, lots of dark practices, witches and warlocks, and all of the voodooists and all of the things that have been done for thousands and thousands of years, bringing various practices to the planet and having no guidelines, having no foundations, having no higher intelligence, having no spiritual order, having no spiritual ranking as far as, judicial order. You would think that common sense would prevail, but it doesn't, because people are so egoically wounded and they're not doing their healing that they're taking the fast, most corrupt way, and they've got these beliefs in their head that if they take out a head spiritualist, then they're going to get their gifts, and all of these really misinformed and misguided experiences in these church and cults and covens. And they're finally, they said to me last night, they said there's secret societies that are coming up all over the place. And when they said coming up, they mean that they're being unearthed. The secret societies are being unearthed, and their secret societies are having to face it. This isn't working anymore. Are we going to be faced with advancing and expanding ourselves in the new higher order, or are you going to continue doing what you're doing? And there are some cults, like the ones from Calgary, there are some of those people in some of those cults that are still choosing to still attack and sit where they're sitting, because they are so deranged in their practices. The black magic has not allowed them to advance in their brain. They have not allowed them to advance in their physical bodies. They have not allowed them to advance in the overall understanding of creation, right? Because if all you're doing is black magic, you're not going to understand anything that I'm talking about, because it's a different capacity and aptitude. That's why we've been offering what we've been offering to you for so very long. Because at some point, the black arts and the dark magics are not going to give you the capacity and aptitude to be the highest expansive being that you can, because it's not light intelligence. There's no light in it. So you can either be a dark practicer or a light practicer. It's up to you. If you cannot, like Mother said, for you to move forward in every day, whether you're coming out from a dark experience, whether you're coming out from a misaligned experience, whether you're coming out from whatever it is you're coming out from, can you accept light into your life, and how important is it of you, for you, in you? Remember, in spirit, of spirit, as spirit. In spirit, of spirit, as spirit. If you choose not to, then you will not be. Again, nobody's going to do the work for you. Nobody hands you an ascension ticket. Nobody gives you a free pass. You have to understand consciousness. If you do not understand consciousness, there's no way anybody can jump to a 5D experience, as I've just been explaining to you. I'm entrained to sense and feel and to know. I'm an expert. I'm a master. I'm divine. I'm crystalline. I'm proving it every day that I'm crystalline in what I can and cannot do, and why there's people that are not crystalline, that are in the dark arts, that are these mad scientists that only see things from a 3D perspective of intelligence, and the 3D perspective of a book or a Bible. They will never ever be intelligent, because they're not activating their crystalline energy. Crystalline is seeing through the veils on everything and being able to explain it on all levels. That's crystalline. Crystalline is being able to see it, to hear it, to feel it, to know it, and explain it on different levels. That's what I do. I'm a conduit. I'm crystalline. Crystalline allows you this. If you're not operating in light, you're not asking for light to come in, if you're not accepting light into your life, you won't be crystalline. And this is where they showed me, and this is where I'm a part of the hybrid project, because there have been a lot of species that have been practicing dark for so very long, like in this dark universe, if you will. These are all the entropy experiences for those that cannot keep up with the base median of the Ascension universe. So they're going to go to the lower universe to maybe have some opportunities now and then, but it is up to each individual. They can still ascend in this lower opportunity universe, and they'll just slipstream like I do, but they have to have that intent. It has to be the purity of their intent. But if they're practicing and they're being around low vibrational people, and their environments are low vibrational people, their environments are superficial, their environments are nothing but money and greed and hurting the planet and hurting people, they will never, ever, 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 ever activate their crystalline energy. They just won't. They won't activate their crystalline DNA. They just won't. You cannot activate your crystalline DNA by being in hate, debauchery, killing people. You just won't. And this is where I can prove to you one more time that somebody operating, this is where there's so much misunderstanding and misknowledge on our planet. When you're operating in such dark universes and dark experiences and dark practices, you can never ever take on the consciousness of what I've just explained in the last hour. You just can't. You can copy the word for word, but you're not going to have any idea. If somebody asks you a question, if you're on stage and you're explaining all of this and you're coming out and you're reading word for word, but you have no idea what you're talking about, and you get asked a question about consciousness, and you're actually wanting to go into that energy bubble, and you're wanting to expand that energy bubble, because that's why you're trained as a teacher, healer, leader. Because when you are in front of the people and you do have somebody asking you a question, you can go into that vibrational thread and you can expand within it with that person. That's how come God places us where we're placed, because I'm that person that can go into that thread and I can expand within it. That's why we are hired sometimes as psychic investigators and mediums, because we can go into that death and we can expand it so that we can see how can we create higher vibrational intelligence, how can we create higher vibrational education, how can we create new laws, how can we create new healing systems so that everybody is served. Everything that I've said since the time that I've got on my video, even in our first videos from 17 years ago, it has always been the greater good. Everything I present forward is the greater good, and my joy for life and my joy for the greater good. Because I am that I am. I am sitting at the trunk of the tree, and I am in the moment of presence of all that is God. And I get excited. That is my birthright. That's my destiny. And I offer it forward. As when I'm living in my 3 E's, I'm all activated and I will receive. I will never miss what God has for me. And it doesn't matter if there's 1 million or 3 billion dark occult practices and voodooists and Satanists that want to have Earth remain in a satanically imbalanced state of entropy and extinction, because they want to keep doing their sacrificing, and they want to keep living in the black web, and they want to keep living in trafficking, and they want to keep living taking people out when they feel challenged or threatened, because they're insecure and they have no idea who they are. Again, it's wounding. Psyche wounding. At some point, you're going to have to look at your psyche wounds of your abandonment, of your rejection. You're going to have to look at your divine feminine energies. You're going to have to look at your divine masculine energies. You will still have to heal. And if not, you're going to be moved to the lower universe. And again, whatever the realms of the laws of that universe are, if you're never seeking light, you will never, ever have eternal life. You just won't. Eternal life is equal to light. So if you're always practicing in the dark and you refuse to see yourself as light, if you're not accepting yourself as light, if you never accept light into your experience and your existence, you will never be in eternal life. You will have other aspects that are, and they're going to keep moving up and you're going to keep moving out. That's where I said the lower energies will always be shifted out. There has to be a lower universe for these other energies to move to so that they can explore however they want to explore in the lower universe. But there will be a time where my soul will say it's not advantageous and it's not healthy for her to go to this universe anymore. So they will send somebody else. Because it does affect my field. It affects my DNA. It affects my lymphatic systems. It affects everything. So I've told them I don't want to go to that realm anymore. They're going to have to send somebody else. So I said, get other light workers up to speed. I can help train other light workers. I've said to Source, I said, there's millions of light workers on the planet that are just coming into their Christ consciousness. I can be a trainer of some of these light workers. Have them go and do the universal shifts. Because there's lots of them that are truly doing it, but they just don't know because there's no teachings out there like mine. And because my platforms are still suppressed. So again, open up my platforms and share my videos. Because there's people that are excited to do this. I'm not excited to do that anymore. I don't want to go to the lower universe anymore. So I've told Mother, Father, God, please use me in the highest versions of efficiency. And if you want me to help train other light workers to do what I do, I'm absolutely open to it. I'm going to get paid for it. I'm not going to do it for free anymore. And I can train people to go to that lower universe. I don't want to go there. It's not the most efficient way of using me, because I am the only one on the planet. I am the only one on the planet like me. I can assist and help other light workers catch up, if you will, in a way that is normal and honoring for everybody involved, because you have to be excited to do it. I'm not excited to do that anymore. I want to go to the higher universe, absolutely, because I want to be more of an effect and I want to be more of an efficiency to this new Earth star. That's where my intention is. My intention is new Earth star. And I can't be this intention of new Earth star if 40% of my energies are being dragged down by lower vibrational cults and covens that refuse to understand that they don't own me. They were lower vibrational experiences of the reptilians and of different families of the lineages that were being pulled out from the lower vibrational realms of experience through the Galactic Wars, and how energy was used and abused, how resources were used and abused. They refused to go within and work with their own life force. They have the same life force and access to God that I do, but they refuse to accept themselves as light. They refuse to see themselves get their life force from themselves. Therefore, thus then, they only want to get it through harvesting, taking, and raping, and using the trafficking experiences, because they're using and they're getting life force to feed their demons, to feed their bodies that are going into entropy. Their bodies are dying, their minds are dying, their spirits are dying. The only way for them to feed themselves is for them to do it illegally, for them to do it by Again, going into other people's akashas when they shouldn't, by harvesting, by dream raping. That's how that is the negative end of not understanding and not having higher intelligence and not honoring energy, not honoring spirit, not honoring your body as life force. Church and state don't teach you any of these things. So no wonder the corruption is the way it is. Everybody on our planet that is moving through and looking at their lives and putting everything on the table, if you do any of these things that we've been talking about, you have to look at your life. In what aspects of your life are you not aligned? And most people will say most of their life is not aligned. They do not know who they are in a higher self. They're not working through their higher self. They're not working with their guides. They have no idea what energy is. And if you are doing magic, if you are doing occult practices, many of them have no clue and they're not aligning with universal laws. Therefore, thus then, they will end up where they end up. You can only say the same thing so many times. So again, there's going to be many different experiences of those that are working on the lower realms and the lower universes. And I've explained to myself that I don't want to go on that lower universe anymore. I don't want to be on that universe anymore. So you're going to have to get some other light workers trained, and I can be assistants in training those universes, training those light workers. But I can't be the only one that's doing as much as I'm doing. I want to focus all of my energy on New Earth Star. That's where I want to be of highest use of efficiency, because now I'm getting excited about all these cosmic energies and all this open portal and all this. It's like a field now I get open to. I get open to more rooms in my many mansions. So I want to explore all the rooms in my mansions. I don't want to keep going to these lower realms teaching the same thing to people that refuse to heal, for people that refuse to honor themselves in a universe with universal laws. You are in a universe, and every universe has its laws and has its dimensions and has its practices on whatever dimension bandwidth they're working at. This will be a slightly darker universe, and it will have the same laws as this universe. It's just going to be an octave lower, because they're working in lower vibrational. Like I said, their perspectives are like a foggy window, like a foggy mirror, right? So they're looking at their universe from fogginess because they don't know who they are. They're not clear about who they are. They have no clarity about who they are. They're living in disease and non-truth. So if you're not in truth, what does it mean? All your chakras are clouded. Your auras are clouded. You have lots of imprints and impalements that you're not clearing because you don't care about your bodies and you're not being taught about your fields. You don't care about your fields. I teach you how to clear your fields so you're living in truth. And if you live in truth, you are very clear about who you are. You're very honoring about who you are. You know what you exist within. All of your clairs, right? Your clairs are very clear. I know my clair audience. I work with this every day. I know I'm working with my teams about that, so I know what I know. That's being clear about who you are. That's truth. So anybody coming up to me and saying anything about you're not this and you're not that, and they have no idea, they don't have any idea about anything. They're just projecting their hate at me because they can't understand how I can know things and I can go into an energy thread and I can open it up for source. That's what I do. That's my gift. Of course they're not going to know it because A, they're in the dark place, they're in the shadow place, they're in the not knowing, they're in their disconnected place, they're in their dissension place, they're in their self-hate place. They don't work with their fields, they're disconnected from spirit, they're disconnected from who they are, they have no clear vision because they've been giving their power to outer. They've been giving their power to the deities that they conjure. They're giving their power to the cult leader that says we're going to go and sacrifice that person and all of us are going to get their gifts and all of us are going to get their inheritances. They're misguided. And they're absolutely wrong. So they will be shifted off and they can stay in their muddy, they can stay in their muddy experiences, and they have to be the ones, again, it's not up to me. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. It's not saying that these people in the lower universe will never ever ascend. It is up to them and the purity of their heart. And if their heart is aligned to the point that so, only God is and their soul is. If their soul is pure of alignment to move through their wounds and to heal their wounds and to know what they have done to others and to heal their issues, they cannot move into unity consciousness of a 5D experience of eternal life where they have access to all dimensions and all experiences and manifest from thought if they are living and behaving in the way that they are. There are gates. There are rules of order, there are rules of law, because you cannot go wishing someone harm and hate and wishing them off the planet because you have issues about who you are, which is what's been done to me since the day I was born. There's no reason why I should be here right now. I think the Spirit said yesterday there's over 1,700 rituals done on me. We're now up into the close to 300 times people tried to sell me in the black web. People wish death upon me every day because they don't understand who they are. They're lost within themselves. And we have to understand, the more we wake up every day, everything is energy. Your words are energy. How you move in your body is energy. All that you are is energy. Everything is energy. Again, it's either working from the negative perspective, all the karmic energies, and you can draw this out every day and work with, that's how you become consciously aware. That's how you become getting into one energy story and expanding within it. This is how I will be teaching those that want to be of the highest global investigators. We're going to be investigating things from the energy story first. I've been spoon feeding everybody from this cult perspective because not only am I a medium and I'm talking to the beings and the energies that have already crossed, they're bringing through their stories because their voices want to be heard. Their spirits do not want to be known as their spirits in the stories that the people that are left here in the cults and the covens, they have done so much scapegoating that all the people that have, they've put so much on the people that have passed, and they put so much on the people that are like myself. They're not only putting their victims through hell, they're victims that have barely survived. And like I said, I shouldn't be here. God has made sure that I'm survived for the reason that I have, because I can speak from every perspective and I can go into any story and I can expand upon it because I'm a medium of energy. I can go into anybody that has crossed and I can go into the medium of that energy and I can expand it. And these cult and coven people that are still alive right now, still sitting on their free gates right now because most of them are being investigated thoroughly and they will be pressed charges against. Now they're all freaking out saying, well, we've scapegoated everybody we can scapegoat. We've scapegoated the ones that have disappeared. We've scapegoated the ones that have died. We've scapegoated our victims. There's nothing else to scapegoat because they're sociopathic and psychopathic narcissists. They will never take accountability for who they are. Well, they're going to keep getting locked themselves in a corner. The corner gets smaller, the corner gets smaller, the corner gets smaller, because so far, as the cults and covens and these warped Masonic groups and the satanic groups go, you're just going to keep getting sacrificed and sacrificed and sacrificed, so there's nobody left, and it's just you standing in the corner. And as we said, aren't you the demon in the story? You're the only one left. So it doesn't matter how these beings in their darkness work. They're going to get darker and darker and darker and darker, and it's going to be a smaller, smaller corner. You can work it out. This is the math. This is the quantum fucking math. Work it out, people. You want to be high consciousness. You want to be a master of being consciously awake. You want to be a conscious God creator. Work it out. Do the fucking math. Anybody that's asking you to be a part of their cult or coven, ask them to work it out. Give me an idea of one of your initiations. Let's draw it out on the infinity. Draw me out an initiation. They're going to think you're crazy. They're like, what? You're going to be the smartest one in the room. And then you're going to say this cult and coven isn't for me. I'm the smartest one in the room. Of course, that's why they want you in their initiation. Why do you think they're asking you to be a part of their cult or coven? Because you're the smartest one. So far, you've gotten out of every one of their rituals. You've gotten every one of their sacrifices. You've got every one of their death rituals. So far, you're surviving on no food. That means you must be aligned with spirit. And guess what they want you for? They want to harvest off you. They want your gifts and skills. They want to see how long it's going to take for them to harvest you, for them to get you, for them to sacrifice you so that they can have their gifts and skills. Why? Because they're still working from the dark, low vibrational experiences. They're not clear who they are. They're given misinformation. They're given misguidance. Everything that they're thinking about, everything that they think they're knowing is wrong. Anybody asks you to go through an initiation, ask them why. Why do you go through your initiations? Why do you do what you do? Well, because we're going to initiate, we're all going to put our powers together, and we're all going to send our powers to this experience. We're all going to give you the powers. I saw this the other day, and it just blew my mind. And this was actually real. These people were standing around, and these people were told, this was a church group, and these people were told, we're gonna have this person, this is a new person that's come into our group, and this new person sat in the center, and these people sat around and they prayed and they sent energy to the person sitting in the middle. And these were people in a church, and they were all sending, the pastor of the leader of the church said, just send whatever God is telling you to send to this person in the middle. And I'm like, are you kidding me? These people are not practiced. They're not being taught or told universal laws. They're not being told about their thoughts or energies. They're not grounded. How many of those that are sending this person whatever they're supposed to be sending them, these people are not balanced on the outside of the circle, and they're sending the person on the inside of the circle, they're supposed to be sending them God light and God whatever. But so far they're not being taught or practiced, they're not being guided properly, they're not aligned properly, and if they're not aligned at their heart space, who the hell knows what they're being sent? It's very dangerous. There's just there's zero knowledge and wisdom because the church and state have not allowed it. The church and state have kept so much suppression on the benevolence, the intelligence of light, the intelligence of God, the intelligence of who we are, the intelligence of being godliness. But this is how some cults and covens work. So you got to ask questions. Okay, well, why am I in your initiation? Why did you choose me? Well, so far we've been watching you for a couple of years. We've been watching you for 50 years now. You've been a part of these government programs, and so far you're still alive. I mean, God, you've got 60 sacrifices, and people just can't. We've paid the best sacrificers on the planet, but they just told you that, but they didn't mean to tell you that because they're all in your energy, and they want to be in your energy because it's so exciting to be in your energy. It's so vibrationally pumped up and amped up that they're telling you things they shouldn't tell you, and they've just put themselves in a corner. See, I know you've been putting sacrifices on. You've been paying everybody in the little secret societies and the little city masons. You've been paying them lots of great money. That's actually my money. It's my inheritance. Maybe I have some of it so I can have dinner tonight. Maybe I can have some of it so I can go out for a nice shower and get a hotel room. How about some of that? How about I actually use some of my money so I can actually put it towards the collective? And I can actually wake up the next day feeling better and feeling healed and feeling fed and feeling nourished and feeling like I have great sleep. I can't get any sleep because your little cults and covens keep attacking me every night. Okay, well, you keep attacking me, and God's just showing you every day that you're being stripped of all your gifts and your skills because you haven't heard the first billion times we've told you. You're not going to move into 5D consciousness. You're going to take a master that has 5D consciousness. You're not going to take a master that can move in and out of multiverses, teaching you things that you've never been taught before that you're still not getting because all you care about is getting the money and the gifts and skills of somebody you'll never, ever match to. Because you're not getting it. Consciousness is inner only. If you're not willing to work with your inner light, all you need is inner. Go to your life force. Go inner. If you cannot go inner and all you care about is raping it from outer, you will never, ever advance. And you will never be ranked. Ever. I'm proving it to you every quantum minute that I'm offering what I offer. Everything in creation is a quantum equal equation. You will only be dark if that's all you are is dark. And how can you get there? By giving yourself love and compassion and start healing. It's the same message for the last 8 years to everybody in Calgary. And I have emails with dates that have said the exact same thing. I have the proof. I've given my lawyer, and I have proof of all the emails I've sent of the exact same message. You need a psychological assessment. You need to go get a brain scan because there's early Alzheimer's. There's things going on in your brain. And if you're working with black magic, and if you're working with voodoo, and if you're working with conjuring, it is a dangerous elixir. And you're only going to put yourself in a very small corner or a very big pit that you've dug for yourself. Because the only way for you to get out is for you to see exactly what you have been doing. And ta-da, everybody is. Ta-da. Energy will never, ever be wrong. Energy will always show itself, whether it's a negative, a neutral, or a positive. I'm teaching you, if you so wish and if you so desire, to be your highest consciousness self. So no matter what the energy story is, you can go into the center of it and read it. But you do it with, we're going to talk about right now, let's just say this energy story right here. Say if you're a psychic investigator and there's something that's happening, or if it's in your family, you can do this in your family. If there's things in your family like what's happening in my family, so many lies and so many secrets and so many people doing dark occult practice, and they look at you in the face and they say, I'm not doing magic. I don't know. It must be you. It must be you that's all weird, and you must need a counselor. You must need a psychotherapist because we're not doing anything wrong. Meanwhile, they're going off at 7 o'clock every night, going behind their little black basement with their little witches and their little warlocks, and they're dancing on graves, and they're doing their graveyard magic, and they're doing their voodoo, and they're putting their voodoo pins in the voodoo dolls. But they lie to your face and they say nothing's going on. Meanwhile, they're going to parties and they're booking big vacations on your inheritance while you're sitting fucking homeless. Yeah, okay, nothing's going on. But I know what I know, and I know how to read energy, and this is why I'm the top person on the planet that's going to explain to everybody in the multiverse what a multiverse really looks like and feels like, because I'm the teacher and I am that I am. I am source creator. Get out of my way. You can go into this energy story right here. Then you can go into your divine sacred heart and you can say, tell me the energy story of what's going on there. In your gifts and skills and your practices and you're doing what you're doing, you can become a psychic investigator, and you can go into and you can explore and you can go into the center of it, just as we taught you last year about the flower, going into the center of the flower and expand yourself within the consciousness of God. God is all life. God is the cork. God is Jupiter. If God is the cork, and God is Jupiter, you can go inside that cork and get the same story that you could in Jupiter. Just because Jupiter is big doesn't mean there's a bigger story there. It means there's more mass. Yes, there's more God cork there. But this God cork is still as big as Jupiter. But you're not trained in going to the small places. We're teaching you how to read the small places because it's not been seen before. It's kind of invisible. It's kind of, is it there? Is it not there? Is it tangible? Is it not? Of course it's tangible. It's all energy. This is why I can predict what's going on in my field, and the people that are refusing to do right and the people that are refusing to make right, and even the government people that had me in their agendas and made me what I was, and the Celestials had to go and fix a lot of it because humanity is not as elegant as high vibrational beings, and we have to get wise and we have to get very real. There needs to be higher light, wisdom, intelligent teachings on our planet. Post haste. We're going to be bathed in light every day, and those people that are not healed are going to be like the ones in the cults and the covens that have been showing themselves that the cults and the covens are not your best environment, are they? Because they're not allowing you to understand to go within and honor yourself, and it doesn't have anything to do with sacrificing anything outside of you. Those are misguidances, misinformations, and wrong information about who you are, what you exist with, and what's going on within you. Your higher self would never, ever, ever guide you to do anything to interfere with any, because it goes against every spiritual universal law. Your higher self would never do that. Your ego would, your ego wounding would, because your ego wants to feel important. It wants to have another initiation to belong to a really sick group that hurt people. Okay, so you're playing in your shadow right now. You want to be known as a really bad person that does bad things to good people because you want to get something. You want to make sure that you got money for your vacation. You want to make sure that you get money because you want to live in people's houses for free. You want to have other people's inheritances, and you want to bank fraud, and you want insurance fraud, and you want to do all of these things because it allows you to live a really lazy life by doing crime, by doing things that hurt people, and you're still going to have to deal with the same thing at the end of every day. When you pass over, when you go to bed every night, you're still going to have to look at all the things that you've done, and all of these deeds are going to sit on your soul until you clear each and every one of them. Every lie you told, every sacrifice you did, every spell work you did to interfere with people's lives, every voodoo, every pin you put in a doll, every one of these things are your deeds on your soul, and it will sit there and I will read it. I will read it, and 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 I will say the same thing I said 8 years ago. You have childhood wounding you need to absolutely look at. And until you look at your wounding, until you look at your soul fragments, you are going to sit where you're going to sit. And your vibrational information is going to sit there until you deal with it. Your karma is going to be your karma. You're going to be shifted off to the lower realms and the lower universe. And it's not going to be me that's going to visit there. I'll train somebody else. Because I already told Source, I want to go here, I want to go here, I want to go here. You're not using me anymore for these lower vibrational experiences. I've had enough. I have my rights now, and I'm a high vibrational being. I'm going to be paid for my expertise. I'm going to be paid for my vibrations. I'm going to be paid around the multiverse, and I'm going to start to receive because I deserve to receive love every day. I deserve to receive good food every day. I deserve to receive a safe place to eat and sleep every day without being stalked, spied on, and hacked on every level of my existence. I've been treated like an absolute fucking lab rat, and not a good one. Thrown in a cage, fed a little morsel now and then. It's been the most disgusting experience ever, and it's hurt me at a very soul level. It's hurt me on my cellular level, my lymphatics level. It's hurt me on every level. And I've said to Mother, Father, God, and Mother, Father, God, this is why Mother, Father, God are doing everything Mother, Father, God is doing. So watch everything come out. Watch it come out, watch it come out, watch it come out. Nobody deserved to be treated the way I was, as sweet and as so sweet as the person that I am, that I've been, a sweet unicorn soul. I will stop whatever I can. If I've got 6 bags and I'm carrying 6 bags, I will stop and I will put the 6 bag down and I will help an animal cross the street. I've always been this way. I didn't deserve to be treated the way I was treated by the governments. I didn't deserve to be treated the way I was treated by those people that called me family and friends and looked in my face and said, I'm not doing black magic on you, while they're doing death spells and suicide spells on me and hoping that I just fall off the face of the fucking earth. How dare you? I'm going to be healing diseases beyond your name. So when you have somebody so special in front of you, and these children are, and you are, every time you come to my videos, the ones that have been coming for 17 years, you will be the ones lifted into the highest heavens, and you will be at my table. And you will be blessed tenfold. Because it's been in your heart, because you know what it's like to see the animals hurting and to see the children being abused. You know what it's like to be in the heart of God and to have your own life ignored and shut down. Because you know what it's like to be the only one that cares about what you see every day and what you feel every day, and all you want to do is just help the world heal. That makes you a leader. That makes you somebody that will, no matter what, God will take you to those places, and God will give you that early resting place where just only you and God can be. And you'll have the best mate, and you'll have the best food in whatever food and however you eat and whatever frequency you eat. And God will make sure that you're cared for. and why this week I've had so many beautiful things, so many beautiful, these experiences, these people that I've met, coming to the coffee shop, and this beautiful gentleman came in one day and came down and sat down and said, I'm going to buy you a breakfast sandwich. And he bought me a breakfast sandwich. And then he came by the next day, and just I bumped into him just walking in the street, and he said, well, let's go. I want to get you coffee. Come, let's go get a coffee. Sweetest person. I ended up talking with him and gave him a healing about his life and where he had been going. Beautiful experiences that he's had a super tough life, and he's now on his straight and narrow, if you will. Just beautiful souls that I talk to these people, and it's lucky me, they just offer whatever change they've got in their pocket, and they're out the door, and all of a sudden they're putting a coffee in front of me, or they're out the door and they're saying, it's really nice to know you. It's nice to know how special a person that you can be, because they're finding harder and harder experiences to meet such people that just come out with their heart space and say, let's just sit down and talk. What would you like to talk about? And you meet these wonderful people just moving about life, just moving about being Christed, just moving about being your highest experience of who you are. You're going to explore today. You're going to express yourself today. You're going to experience yourself today in no other ways that you have never done before. And I'm hoping that I walk you through that door. And I say, you are so godly. You've never been taught, told, or shown. You've got a multiverse that you can move in and out of if you so choose, and work with your teams every moment. You can take any energy that is placed before you, whether it's a dinner, whether it's a meal, whether it's somebody that's brought something over, and it's old family members that are trying to get back in your energy, and they've put a gift in front of you, and yet it's attached with so many curses and hexes. And you just say, I'm not going to touch that gift. Thank you. You can take it back. And you don't even let them in your door, because the minute you let them in your door, you're giving them their permission to do whatever it is that they're going to do, and they're going to put their binding spells, and they're going to leave little things here and there, and little knickknacks here and there that have spells and voodoos inside of it. And these are the people that have felt entitlement over me and my soul, because on another galactic realm, they had a belief system in which they traded people back and forth, and that person was going to be with them until the last elder was dead. Because they traded that child back and forth to whatever cults and covens they needed so that they can live an easy fucking lazy life. And they trade children. There's people right now, I guarantee you right now, Interpol investigations, it has to be global investigations on these cults and covens and societies, whoever does such things. You're working against universal laws, you're working against higher spiritual order, and you will be called on it, and you will be stripped of everything. And your finances will be blocked, your health will be blocked, everything will be blocked and sabotaged until you get this. These are universal laws, and these are universal stories. These are things that happen every day, and it's egregious. There are families right now in cities and in neighborhoods where they can pretend and they can play to be righteous, and they can pretend to be white-collar people and white-collar officials. And yet the children that are in their family, that they've gone through life and they've given their seed and their sperm to and their egg to, as a mother, I'm saying this has never happened to me, and I would never ever wish this upon any child. And I do protection work every day, and I work with light every day to protect children, because I know this goes on, and I'm educating people to this. There are those that belong to secret societies and cults and covens and Masonic groups that are warped and twisted, and they're misinformed and they're misguided. And I'm calling you out. I'm going to keep calling you out every day. The people that I've been involved with, they had very free entitlement, because this is how warped they were. They felt the entitlement, and this goes on in the underground web. This is where I was sold more than 200 times. They sell the energy, they sell the gifts and the skills and the talents, they sell the name of the person into a number of things, and they get paid for it, and they transfer money, and they have transactions going back and forth, different cults and different sects and different satanic groups and different energy conjuring and different voodoo groups and different this, and they have a trading system. And some of these people and these black warlocks and these spiritual hitmen and these spiritual hit people and these government people that work back and forth with these black underground places, they have tabs. Because if the person doesn't die and the person doesn't pass away, and if the person is not sold to an early false marriage, then they have to owe whatever group or coven that they've borrowed to or they've paid to. These things actually go on. This is the underground black web trafficking. And you can be in a family and you could have no idea that this goes on, and all of a sudden the children are knowing that the children are never following the path they want to follow because they're being bought and sold and traded, and they have no idea that they've got 13 veils of voodoo and black magic energy that are suppressing them to never ever reach their spiritual destiny or their spiritual goals, because they're being sold back and forth and they're being used and harvested from their sacral, from their solar plexus, from all of their energies, and these children are being harvested in every way and every day and every night. Their dreams are being raped, their consciousnesses are being raped, and they're being slowly lured into trafficking by the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, the fuckery that goes on every day by witches and warlocks and warped-ass masons that are sacrificing them in every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, through their vibrational systems, through their energy systems. This goes on every day in every city. And these children never know they're married at 14 or 15. And these people in these cults and covens and in these incestuous little places that think that they're all righteous while they do everything in hiding, they stand in front of their church and they give donations to cancer research, and they give donations to this and that, and they pretend that they're running an all righteous church, but they're absolutely not. They're running nothing but a trafficking ring. That's all they're doing. They're running a trafficking ring. They're using the people that come in and out. They're stalking the people that come in and out to say who's got the money, who's got the wills, who's got the property. How can they start running romance schemes? How can they start running little swinger clubs so that they can make sure that they've got blackmail energy? They've got all these things and these stories and little pictures here and there, so that if they need somebody to do something for them and a bribe, that they've got something in their back pocket they can bribe from and they can pull from. All of these experiences are things that go on every day in twisted, warped, corrupt, low vibrational, dark, satanic. They have disconnected from their spirit on every one of their chakras. They don't know God on any level, and they are sitting in front of people fooling everybody. They are selling children back and forth to cults and covens in illegal marriages, and the children are just finding they never get themselves out of never having good luck. These are energetic curses and hexes. These are things that go on in incestuous, cult-like families that think they own their children. They think that they own their children to direct their children and handle their children. This handling thing goes on in every city, in every neighborhood, and it's disgusting. Anybody that says they're a handler, you should absolutely look at yourself and look at the vibration that you're walking within, and it's nothing but mud and sludge, and you're looking at a lifetime of clearing your karma. It's one of the lowest vibrations that you can carry on the planet. You're not ranked on any level. You don't have any right to put anybody's name on a piece of paper and sell it to your neighbor cult because you want to get away on a European vacation. And you want that cult person because you just know that your daughter came into a psychic gift, and you're going to sell that daughter to the cult member down the road because you want to go on a $13,000 European vacation. This is happening, and it is illegal on every fucking level. And I'm going to call every one of you out. I will see every one of your warped asses in criminal court. So you better bet when you come stalking me and you come spying me and you come hacking my systems, you're just giving me a vibrational thread that I'm going to read into because you don't know who I am. Every time you force your way into my lane, every time you bring me a spell or a sacrifice, I'm going to read into everything that you send me. And it's just going to give me that vibrational pathway right back to you because that's God's gift. You do anything bad and wrong to me, of your intentions, of your wounding, of your hate and your envy and your jealousy and your gluttony and all the 7 sins that you walk with that you refuse to face. And it's going to give me a pathway right back to you. And I'm going to be one of the head investigators and the head leaders and the head teachers on this planet and on the multiverse. And I'm going to teach people how to read energies and go within it and expand a story. And it's going to find the story right back to you. No matter how many fabrications of paperwork, no matter how many falsified documents, no matter how many people you've paid to AI information, to fake AI pages, it doesn't matter how many ways you've tried to veil and cover yourself and cover up evidence and tamper evidence and destroy evidence. My energy story never goes away, and I'm going to find you. Why? Because you had it forced and entitled within yourself that you owned a part of me, and I'm saying, no, you don't. I'm claiming it back. I'm going to find you, and I'm going to reclaim that part of information that you thought you were entitled to abuse and to use and to fuck off and to jerk off every time you want to get your ass off. She's not going to get your ass off on my energy anymore because I told you, it's my energy. You're not going to sell my name. I'm going to get that claim. I'm going to get that energy, and I'm going to take it back because it's my energy. It's my right. I reclaim my power. I reclaim my light. I reclaim everything you took from me illegally. Anybody that sells names back and forth in any underground way, be very aware, governments, oh governments, and people, oh people, and cults and covens and Masonic groups, I don't care what your fucking title is. You put anybody's name on a piece of paper and you have sold that person, you have altered that person's soul and spirit, and you don't have a right to, and you will be found. Those are the most egregious of spiritual laws. You pay practitioners, you pay voodooists, you pay the back forest country witch lady to say, go put a hex on her because they're in your way. Because you're refusing to look at your wounds. You don't have any right to sell a daughter or a daughter's daughter or a daughter's child or the grandchild. There's grandchildren that are being sold right now. You have no idea. You're living in a 3D home. You come to breakfast and dinner maybe once or twice a week, and you have your family Sunday dinners. This is going on, people. You don't have to be paranoid. You just have to look at who's got the power, who's got the luck, who's got the vacations, who's got the money coming through, and it never seems to end, even though they're not the nicest people and all they care about is themselves. The people that I come from, Calgary, they are nothing but pathological liars, and yet everybody in the community chose to believe a pathological liar over a spiritual healer. Because I have the title of a spiritual healer, because I do things that are not 3D conformity, because even though I've worked in banks for over 13 years, I worked in the government over 8 years, I've had all of these 3D conformed jobs. I can run circles around each and every one of you. If I go into your offices, I'll run circles around each and every one of you. I can prove to you that I can do a 3D job. They're boring. I want to do what I want to do because I'm good at what I do. I'm amazing at what I do. I'm a genius at what I do. It's what I love to do. I want to bring higher consciousness to planet Earth because that's who I am. Thank you, my sweetheart. And all of these people before me that want to be their higher consciousness people, they want to live on the right side of justice, they want to be their highest form, and they want to get to know their shadow, they want to get to integrate their shadow. These are the people that are going to work with me. Because I'm going to be very specific. And God's going to make sure God is going to vet every person that comes to me with collaborations. I'm not going to work for any company. I'm not going to be anybody's employee. I'm a consultant for a reason. I don't join cults and covens, and I don't do anybody's initiations. I'm only initiated by the systems of light, Mother, God, that's it. I don't get initiated by anybody on earth. They say they have. They've paid and they've had these very special experiences where they're initiating me into something and something and something. I haven't been involved in anything. I haven't been involved in any piece of paper that has my name on it besides my divorce. Take that right to the highest investigator through the Interpol. Every investigator that is investigating everything on my name, I have had no say on anything. I've not been involved in any conversations. I've not been involved in anything about anything, except for my divorce, which has been going on for the last 8 years. It got closed out a year ago. I am legally divorced for 1 full year. Through the King's Court, go do your investigations. The papers are there. And if I was so insane and if I was so crazy, would I be able to talk about the things I talk about with such acuity, with such surety, with such clarity of knowing who I am? I'm a consciousness being of the highest consciousness realms. I can bring things that have never been brought forward. Doesn't mean I'm crazy. It means I'm smart. It means I'm a genius. I'm wrapping circles around you consciously because you're still stuck in your mud. You're still stuck in low vibrational consciousness, and you're still trading names back and forth so that you can have your Audi to drive in. Okay, well, if the stuff means more to you than love does, if the money means more to you than actually allowing your children their highest path of light and to be karma free, if all of the stuff and all of the awards and all of the things that you think are important, you're going to be on your deathbed and you're going to be on your transition table and you're going to be on the sacrifice table and you're going to say, was everything that I went through and all the stuff and all the money and all the things and all the Gucci bags and all the butt jobs and all of these things that you think are important, because you want to be seen as special, you want to be seen on 5 minutes of your stage time, you want to be seen as important. Couldn't you have done that on your own first to give yourself a bit of self-love before you're selling your children's lives away to cults and covens that think they own you and they're going to stalk your children for the rest of their lives and they're going to live a life similar to what I led until they wake up, until they get the education and information that is not out there because it's being suppressed by the leaders of the country that, wow, they did have a chakra system. Wow, they do have gifts. They can connect with God and they can connect with Source. And actually, they made it through 35 sacrifices. Nobody told me anything that I'm teaching. I had to awaken into it because people were suppressing me on every fucking level of my life. And it's not okay. It's illegal as fuck. Nobody has a right to touch my name. Nobody has a right to touch my birth information. Nobody has a right to mess with it on any way, in any way, on any level. Physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. Nobody has a right to do anything sexually on my name or my energy. They don't, and they're going to get karma. We've talked about it a million times. Honor your life force. Work with your life force. All children, all children. All children have their own destiny and their soul's blueprint. It is up to the parents, it is up to every parent of every household to ensure, if they so desire, to speak and give the right education and information to their children about light and honoring and protecting your chakra systems, protecting your light, and getting to know and understanding what harvesting is, what vampire siphoning is, what abusive energy is, what abusive magic is. There is a huge, profound abuse of magic on our planet and abusive energy on our planet, and it's been going on for a very long time. There's agendas within governments, there's agendas within cults and covens, and we must awaken to it. It's nothing to be afraid of, and it's nothing to be paranoid about. But when you know who you are, you know what you exist within, and you practice it every day, nothing that comes across to you is ever going to give you fear. They can send their best intimidators to stalk me every day, and they can sit in their cars and jack off to me and pretend they're going to intimidate me and bully me. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to take a picture of you and I'm going to put you on my YouTube page. You don't have any right. You're illegal right now. You're doing illegal things, and you're going to get your karma. And from what I was told, the person that jacked off in their Tesla got fired from their job. So they're going to go through their karma. It is the way it is. You do ignorant things, you're going to get an ignorant outcome. It can only be the quantum equation. You're going to wake up now. Are you going to keep banging your head against the wall and trying to take me out? Or are you going to wake up and maybe change your ways? Maybe go in and heal, because it's not anybody else outside of you, it's you. We have to understand the black web and honoring what goes on in every household, the belief systems of every person in every house, those people that refuse to heal, that step outside church and state. They want to hide behind the Bibles. They want to hide behind their dark past because it's been serving them, because they've been getting paid in the back door. And every one of these people will be found out. These corrupt people that have been running these systems will be found out, and they will be pulled like the weeds that they are. Selling people's names in an underground black market for the adults of the house, for the elders of the house, for the witches and the warlocks and the masons of the house to have their free reign, and put children on sacrificing tables. I say, at the highest level of multiversal spiritual law, how dare you, and you will get karma. You will never escape from the sacrifices that you do. You will never, ever be ranked. Even in your satanic world, you will never be ranked. The harm you do to animals, the harm you do to children, the harm you do is the harm you do to your own soul. It is you. And you will wear every one of these dots of darkness. You will wear every one of these dots of deeds until you clear it yourself. You are the only one to redeem your soul. This is high spiritual order. It will not change. Ascension and universal laws will not change, because you refuse to see the woundings that you were told 8 and 9 years ago, you became aware of a year ago, you became aware of 8 months ago, but you're refusing to look at who you are. Look at your shadow, people. Look at your shadow. You're going to keep getting knocked down. You're going to keep getting towers until you look at your shadow. Accept it. Heal it. Accept it in, integrate it. These are the natural orders of dark and light in our universe. This is the only way for you to move ahead, is by accepting it and accepting light into your life so you can heal the shadow. By loving yourself. Love is light and light is love. There is quantum equations. Every soul is responsible for clearing their deeds. There is no other way around it, people. It doesn't matter if you're a 33-degree Mason. I don't care what the names are. Because people give themselves these names, and all they're doing is just dark, abhorrent things. Your names and your titles don't mean anything. Give yourself a name and a title. It doesn't mean anything. You're the only one that's giving it meaning. It doesn't mean anything. Universal laws are universal laws, and they'll trump you. There's a negative, a neutral, and a positive. If you think that sacrificing someone is a positive thing to do, you will never, ever come out of where you're at. Ever. If you think that black magic on another person, voodoo dolls and intentions and conjuring on another person is a good thing to do, you will be in that same place because it's you. That spiral is going to keep showing you it's you. That conjuring, it's you. That black magic spell, it's you. That sex magic, it's you. It's you, it's you, it's you. And where are you? You're in the same place you were before. So you taking it from somebody else isn't going to do anything. You're going to come right back to the same place again. Then what? Okay, you're going to do another spell. Okay, and then what? You're going to go get another operation on your body. Okay, and then what? And then what? And then what? And then what? You're still going to have to look at who you are. You're still going to have to heal your childhood woundings of your rejection and your abandonment and your sexual molestation and your sexual raping and whoever did whatever they did to you. And you're going to have to reclaim your power in each one of those situations, because that's how you heal. Do the work, people. And if you choose not to do the work, then you will sit in your psychosis. You will still need to get a psyche assessment. And I suggest that many of those people that have been in the situations to go get a scan, an MRI, because there is some psychosis there going on. And it might be even early Alzheimer's. It might be other dementias, especially those that are middle-aged and older. And if you're working with black magic and you have dementia and early Alzheimer's, you're even giving yourself every decision that you need to make. You're giving yourself, and you're giving your power away to others that can manipulate you, because they already know they can manipulate you. Because early onset Alzheimer's does not give you the opportunity of the highest choice making when you're in those situations where you need to make a goodwill choice and you choose not to. You're giving your demons, you're giving the choice to the demons or the energies or the temptations within you. So if you have early Alzheimer's or you have dementia, you're already at a fault, you're already at a negative of your choice-making decision skills. Okay, and I'm the crazy one, am I? I think every video I prove that I'm about 100% in capacity on an oscillation scale that most of you can never ever reach. Those ones that judge me. And again, who's the demon in this story? If you're spending all of your money, you're spending all of your finances, you're spending everything in your power, you're gathering people, you're gathering groups of 20 to 30 to 50 to 10 to 5 to 6 and 7 people to do hate magic on me. Who's the demon in the story? Because you know why you're doing it. Interpol, investigators, do you know why they're doing it? We're in class right now, people. We're in a psychic medium class on how to read the energy of the stories. Why are these people so intent on doing what they're doing? I'm going to give you 3 different answers. Because there's 3 different investigations that are going on right now in 3 different cities across North America. So investigators that watch my show, get out your pens and paper. 3 different reasons. Why are they so intent on taking out that one person that knows what they're doing, and they're bringing forward truth and clarity, and they're not going to stop bringing out truth and clarity because God's the one that's going to place me before you. The ones that refuse to tell the truth, the ones that refuse to live in truth, the ones that refuse to make right where they're meant to make right, and God has been showing everybody across all countries, across all stations, and even that means world leaders. God has given you an opportunity in every moment to do what is right. Put down the nuclear weapons, put down the chemtrails, put down the guns, put down the trafficking, and do right. Get yourself healed. Why are they doing these things? Why are they so intent on taking lightworkers out? Why are they so intent on silencing the ones? It goes all the way to the top, and it begins at church and state. Because they're threatened. And each and every one of these covens that have been sold, any one of these people to be handled, giving you 3 ideas here, people. This is going on in 3 separate open cases right now, where there's investigations going on of death and murder, and mysterious disappearances, or fabrications of evidence, destruction of evidence. Because they've made a trade to one of the black cults that they owe money to and they are being owed of. That is the biggest reason right there. Because the person that they think they're going to handle, and that person is broken away from that handling, and that person says, you're not going to fucking handle me. I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do, and I'm going to be free in doing it. So Spirit is then said left. That person is now left with that debt of whatever they've chosen to give that person on that piece of paper, black back and forth in the black web underground pyramid that they trade to, and they bid to, and they bet to, and they sell to. This is where the trafficking, dear lighted ones, Interpol, are you listening? FBI and CIA, are you listening? This is going to be a big thing, and we better prepare for it. Who's going to heal it? When the black web comes out, and we all pull that weed like it is, what's going to happen to all the people that are owed? All these pyramids, what's going to happen? Are you prepared for it, leaders? You're not. You didn't even think about it. Why do you think all these people get angry and want to get life? Why do you think they send people to stalk to see what their next move is, to see if they can manage it and hold it and handle it? Why? Because they want that life. Because they want that energy. They want that wisdom. They want that smart. They want that gift. They want. What's going to happen when the black web is pulled and one pyramid ring is pulled? What about the bets and the bids and the sells and the trades that are left unpaid? What then? That's the number 1 reason right then and there. That's what you should be dealing with first. When I'm initiated with all world leaders, that's what I do. Because that's what's going to cause the most damage and destruction. That's the most danger. Because these people that are angry, these people that have just been told you're not going to live through corruption anymore, what are you going to do? Are you going to heal? What are you going to do? Are you going to forgive the debt? What are you going to do? If you are a wise person, if you are really wanting to make an obvious impact on your life, you would say, I'm going to forgive the debt. Bye, I'm gone. I'm going to go work on my light. And you head off to a beach in Bermuda and you work on your consciousness for the rest of your life. That's what a wise person would do. A person would not go and fight the system and say, you owe me a debt. Like all the mafia people do. You owe me debt, you owe me debt, you owe me debt, I'm going to get your debt. And you start killing off people. Okay, well, that just gets you more and more debt. And then what? I can work it out with each and every mafia leader. I'll work it out with you. We'll do the infinity and we'll sit down and we'll say, is your move smart? Or are you going to level up? Forgive your debt and go work on your consciousness. You'll be 100 times happier. Second reason, because they are still wounded and they're not dealing with the main issue and the core issue of their demon and the entity that is attached to that person. And because they're not working on that demon and entity attached to that person, it's going to be highly unlikely that they're going to come into a conscience awareness unless Father God is doing it itself. And Father God has said, your conscience will wake up whether you like it or not, because God is always the one that is in charge of the dark night of the soul, whether you're waking up to the conscience of the deeds that you have done and how you've hurt others and the deeds that you do. That is only between God and that person and that soul, to see if this soul is going to be given a last chance one more time to wake up and do right. Because you do deserve to be here and you do deserve to be known as light and God in one. That person is going to have to get to the bottom core of that issue of that entity attachment. Jealousy and envy, it has seen itself as not as God. It has seen itself as not as important. It has seen itself as not as needed or wanted in the collective. Because it has been entrained from the day one that has been born here into dogmatic systems of every creativity, everything that has found itself special about itself has been ingrained out of it. Because it wants to fit into dogmatic, egoic systems that don't say anything about the person and the soul that it is. And it will have to get to the center of that issue of whatever that demon is, jealousy, envy, greed, whatever it is, and it's going to have to heal that issue. Otherwise, that demon, that entity will keep doing as it does, and it will eat that person inside out until that demon is satisfied. Or that demon is exorcised out of it. And there's very few people on this planet that can do it because they don't know what I know, as I just explained. That's number 2. Number 3, I'll say it very quickly. The highest one is always about money, people, because that's where they operate from greed. And most often than not, most of them have entity attachments. Most of them are not working in any way in connection with spirit at all. So go there. And what is the final one? The final one is they've been bred from competition. Again, they have been brought up in systems and organizations and familial and lineage and social situations in which they felt if they're not the ones that's being seen on stage, if they're not the ones that are being seen as important, if they're not the ones being seen with the most money, if they're not the ones being seen with the most power, the most muscle, or the most this or the most that, then they're not important, they're not loved. They want to belong so badly that they will do what they will do and they will pass papers and they will do what they do, even if it's ignorant, even if it's cruel, even if it's unusual. Get to the core of the vibrational story, and every person acts from it. I act from a vibrational story. I'm excited about bringing source consciousness, the creative collective, into higher vibrational experiences of who we are, what we exist with, and what's truly going on within inside of us. There is a story of what's going on inside every vibrational story, every soul aspect, and all of these soul aspects add to the dodecahedron of who you are. Love all of it. It is all you. The dark occult parts are you. I can go into any dark occult saying, okay, why are you doing that dark occult practice? I can give you an answer and a pathway out of it. Or you can stay in that small little dark aspect. You're going to have to learn a little bit from that. That's fine. But do you want to stay there? Because it's going to give you an entropy and you might not want that in your end result. I'm here to say anything is available to you, and it's got 3 ways, 3 pathways. You got 3 pathways in all that you do. And this is where all investigations will go. The patterns of karma, the patterns of wounding, the patterns of the psyche. Where's the psyche wounding? Go into that story and open it up and be God consciousness. You can only be God conscious if you are aligned within your heart center where all is all. The dark is all, the light is all, it's all. Dogmatic and church systems need to change and they need to upgrade. They need to up level. Because there's a lot of corruption and nobody deserves it. Everybody deserves the equal amount of justice. I want my justice because I'm the word and I'm the voice of every child that's ever been trafficked, sold, traded, and raped, and forgotten and left for dead. I am that voice and I won't sit down. And you can have a positive side, infinite positivity. Of course, the positivity has so much more momentum, they have so much more light, and they can jet off in a bunch more different directions. If you're acting on behalf of joy, that is my highest joy to be in this highest vibration. I'm lifting all that I am up. Why? Because joy is a higher vibration than hate and separation. And anytime I feel something negative going, I'm going to go in there with my love, and I'm going to heal that. That's alchemy, dear lighted ones. Go into any story, and I can offer this to you. Any mafia person comes forward and said, I want to move my job. And I know that I've been doing these things, but I want to move into a higher light. I want to work with Archangel Michael. How can I move my vocational into a high vibrational? And people on the planet might think, well, how can that person be a mafia person 1 minute and they can work with Archangel Michael the next minute? Anything is possible. You're obviously good at working mafia, so how about you work good at doing something that's benefiting of the benevolence, and you can actually have your light go into eternal life, and you can actually have your children come out of karma because you've given them a whole bunch of karma by all the bad things that's been going on. Label it however you want to label it. You've explored those things. Okay, now what? You've allowed the demons inside your body of not belonging, of not being fed and not being heard and not being loved and not being valued. Well, how can you expect anybody to love you if you're showing that you don't love anything about life at all? So you're not going to have a divine loving partner that's going to love you unconditionally. You're not showing yourself unconditional love. How could anybody love you unconditionally? You don't want to share yourself with anybody because you're afraid of the things you've done. So you're not being honest. You're not being truthful. So how could anybody love you unconditionally? You're just going to have people that are going to be karmic. They're going to come and like you because you're going to tell them stories that they want to hear because you want to be accepted, because you're really good at shapeshifting. You're really good at telling lies. And every room you go into, there's going to be different people there and different energies there, and you get to slip and slide into whatever energies that you want. You're going to lie in every room that you go in because you want to be accepted by everybody that you're around. So what does that say about you? That says you're a really good character actor. It doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't say who you are. It doesn't say what you're prepared for. It doesn't say what you can be within yourself. This is who I am. This is who I am. I can walk into any business and every offering, and I will be polite, and I'll be absolutely polite and honoring, and I'll bow to everybody before me. This is who I am. Anybody that sits before me and wants to argue their belief systems with me and argue their perspectives with me, I won't engage. I'm not here to change your perspective. I'm not here to change your beliefs. I know what I know. You want to learn, you want to open up, you want to be a part of Source Creator, you want to be a part of the multiverse, you want to be a part of your highest and your best, you want to be a part of learning and seeing and feeling and honoring energy and our celestials and our oneness. Do you want to learn about where you've been and where you're going? Do you want to learn about being a high vibrational person and the 3 E's and the 3 A's? Do you want to be more than you were yesterday? Do you want to be more than you were an hour ago? Do you care about your soul's evolution, yes or no? And all of these things 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 and all of these things. This is my excitement. This is my devotion. And Source Creator is going to place me wherever and however and in whatever way. Source Creator has made councils, and Source Creator has brought celestials from all over the multiverse. If I need to slip in and out of a dimension, if I need to slip in and out of a timeline, if I need to do whatever I need to do to put a piece of light somewhere and bring somebody the excitement of who we are as divine beings, to bring the light of who we are in truth and honor and high vibrational wisdoms and high vibrational intellect and high vibrational teachings, God's going to make sure it's going to happen. And there's going to be legions by the billionfold that are going to open up a pathway so that I'm here to teach and I'm here to offer and be exactly who I am. That's my excitement, because it's met equal measure. And if there's something that's never been done before and I get to slip in and out of a dimension to put a piece of light somewhere, to put education somewhere, to put information somewhere so that no child is ever put on a piece of paper and traded back and forth to a cult, so that they never experience what they're meant to experience because that's their destiny. But they've been bought and sold by people that do magic on them every day. There are universal laws and there is universal order and there is spiritual order, and everybody is being watched. Make no mistake about it. If you think you're doing a voodoo practice or a black magic spell, if you think you're doing anything on somebody's dream time, if you think you're peering into somebody's Akasha, you're not being watched. Every person that remote views, you're being watched. If you're doing anything with black magic and your psychic gifts and you're not getting permission and you're not following the universal laws, you are being watched. Your guides know exactly what you do. Your higher self knows exactly what you do. And there will be things put in your way, and there will be obstacles put in your way, and you'll be sabotage put in your way. And at the end point, and if you choose to keep going, you will have all of your gifts stripped and you will not be protected. And you will not have an opportunity under God's grace to ever come back into the godliness of eternal life. And that is when you have done so much so, you have disregarded God so much so, you have spit on God so much so, you have spit on the hand that has fed you so much so that there is no way back to God's grace. And you will always sit in the lower realms and you will never be given another window of opportunity, ever. That is your choosing. You chose that. You chose that out of your ignorance. You chose that out of not doing right, governments. You chose that by never giving the person what they were actually legally entitled to, their name, their birthright, and their birth information and their inheritance. These were things legally due to me. I should have already been living my best life. I should have already been traveling around the world teaching the collective that is now behind the 8 ball. I should have already been at the investigations. I should have been at the top investigation places around the planet, teaching people how to read the energy of stories. Advancing human collective consciousness, whoever needs it, whoever wants it. And I will be paid very well for it. Should have already been my best life. So God's going to move things. God's going to make things happen. Equal measure. And I'm giving it to you as free teaching that you'd have to pay thousands to go and see a counselor for, that I can give you in 2 hours on a free YouTube session. There is nothing more powerful than your unity with who you are as Source Creator. There's nothing more powerful. You are the Divine Mother, you are the Divine Father, and it's within you. Your Divine Sacred Heart, the purity of your heart, as above and so below, as within and so without. You are the dodecahedron. Don't ever give your power away to lower vibrational consciousnesses that don't know, that are misguided, that are misinformed, and have no idea about your soul's blueprint. They don't know anything about you. No matter how many times you may or may not be bet, sold, traded, or bid against, I am living proof. I am living proof. Make no mistake about that. I am living proof that over 2,500 ways that somebody tried to bet, bid, sell, and trade me and bet me and kill me and have me die off in a car accident, have me die off in the middle of my sleep, have me die off in a heart attack, or whatever other horrible things they've said about me. Said that I'm diseased, that I have sexual diseases, that I'm a porn star, that I do drugs, that I don't even know how to wipe my bum. I don't even know how to speak a sentence. I don't know all these things. Well, if I didn't, how could I survive all of your attacks? How can I survive all the attacks and then teach you about how to not do it and how to get healed? Does that sound like the ideas of somebody that's not wise? Nobody's come to verify my signature. Nobody's come to verify my intelligence. I'll wrap circles again around each and every one of you, and God will make sure of it. Because there has been not 1 ounce of credibility given to me, except the clients that have been honoring the blessings that I give them. And isn't that sad? What is that giving our children? When our children see that one divine feminine mother, one divine feminine beautiful person that wants just the best of life, the best of insects. I want the insects to be happy and free and loved. I want the animals to be happy, free, and loved. I want the water and the air. I just love life. I love all that God is. I want to bring the excitement. I want to bring stories about every aspect of God to life. I can do that. I can go into a tree and I can tell stories about the trees. I can go into the earth and tell stories about the earth. I can go into the air and tell stories about the air and the birds. I can do this. This is my job. This is what I do. I get so excited about it. I want to be paid for it now. I don't want to teach children, you can do this too. Who are you as energy? Who are you as energy storytellers? Who are you as energy story painters and dancers and creators? Who are you as an inventor? Who are you as the inventiveness of this planet? And we're going into amazing places and we're just getting up and we're just getting started. Don't quit. Get up. Each and every one of you are so profound. However you activate your gifts and your talents and your skills, get out the paper. Get out the construction paper. Get out the paints. Get out the pens. Have spaces in your place in your house where it's sacred, where you're clearing the space and you're getting beautiful energy in there and you're bringing in flowers and you're talking with spirit every moment of every day. How can you expand how to hear spirit? How can you expand how to know spirit? How can you feel spirit? How can you go out to the trees and feel spirit differently in the trees than you do in the ocean? Get to know spirit. Spirit wants to play with you. This is how you get healed, dear lighted ones, is by connecting and building relationship every moment with spirit and who you are as spirit. This is what I teach, is who I am. I deserve my rightful place on this planet. I deserve to come forward, and in my excitement, I inspire and I activate you in your excitement. And I will help activate your DNA because I bring that much light. I bring that much light. I bring this much light. And why not? And who is it to anybody to say, go take her out? She just knows too much. She knows too much about our trafficking ring. She knows too much about the corruption. She knows too much about all the people that have been taken out mysteriously. And yet somebody's getting paid their inheritance money and all of their insurance money and their wills money, and everybody's money's going here, left, right, and center. Well, what about the people that have actually been taken out? What about their voice? What about the things that they were going to do? What about the children's destinies? What about the children that are not sold to trafficking and have sex when they're 12 years old and 11 years old? And they're being sold debaucherous things, and all of a sudden their life has been given away because of ignorant asshole people, of adults that are refusing to get healed. Because if you've been told something 8 million times, what does that make you? That makes you an egregious person that has the demons eating them inside and out, and you don't care about that child's life you just altered forever. I care. I'm here to realign that child to their highest and their best, and they do have a soul's blueprint, and they're going to get on their path. Ain't nothing you can do in your trafficking little underground BS where they're going to be bought and sold 100 times. I'm proof of that. Try and sell me and see what happens. Keep stalking me and see what happens. Keep trying to throw sabotage at me and see what happens. Each and every one of you getting karma every day times 10. Times 10, times 10, times 10 until you get it. I have my right to be exactly who the fuck I am. And I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep expanding. Whether you make it right or whether you don't, God will always make sure that I'm made right. God will always make sure that I'm loved. God will always make sure that I'm given to. God will always make sure that I have enough to eat. because it's my turn to receive. I deserve to receive, and nobody has an ounce of say otherwise. They just don't. They don't know what I've been through. They don't know the demons that I've seen, and they don't know the light that I've put where nobody else has put light. I've healed people that don't even know they've been healed. I bring light where nobody else can bring light. I say things nobody else can say. I see things that nobody else can see. I know light. I can create healing centers tomorrow. I can see my way around any issue, any challenge. I can see my way through it. That's working with God. That's being in partnership with God, step by step, foot by foot. Hand in hand, I'm with God. And it has nothing to do with religion. It's to do with energy, and life is God, and God is life, and man, oh man, oh man, I speak for life. Divine Feminine, we are going to rock this universe, and we are going to bring up the highest vibrational children, and we are going to show them the way to get tapped in, to get balanced, and to get healed. Because it doesn't matter what any child has been through, we got things that we can heal. And we're going to get there. And we're going to get there by being creative. And we're going to get there by being geniuses. And we're going to get there by being never told that you're not worth anything, because you are. And I can come on every day and I can speak for hours and hours and hours and hours. And that's how you know I'm fucking godly. I'm godly, I'm godly, I'm godly. Because everybody is godly. And no child deserves to be thrown to the streets and told they're nothing. And then by the time they're 20, they are so messed up because they've been so used and they've been so abused and they've been so sold that they're sitting on the streets absolutely in poverty and absolutely in homelessness and absolutely on the brink of drugs and brink of a suicide because they've just been bought and sold so many times. And how dare anybody judge anybody that's homeless? Aren't we the ones that put them there? So who's the demons in these stories? The ones that just turn a blind eye to all the corruption that you choose to ignore, but you know it's right going on in your next door neighbor? Again, we are wonder-lighted ones. Are you ready for unity consciousness? The people that you judge on the streets, you don't know anything about their story. Why don't you go and talk with them instead of judging them and separating, discriminating? The spiritual healer that came forward and told nothing but truth six years ago and every day since. How many lives have been altered? How many lives have been deleted? How many families and how many bodies have been diseased and infected? Since the very same truth that I brought forward 6 years ago. Since the same emails and the same statements that I've said, go get checked, go get an MRI, go get your brains checked. How has it that so many people put so much weight and so much inference and so much of their power and their energy into the righteousness of a man that speaks nothing but lies? Whether they're in a church, whether they're in the business building or a political standing. Any of these people that put nuclear war and bombings and hate and separation and taking people out and having people followed by special people in black cars and black suits, you're not aligned, you're not wise, you have no intelligence inside of you, and you're moving in the same dark karmic cycle, and God will make sure that your obstacles and your karma will be tenfold. Your abundance will be blocked, your health will be blocked, and everything will be blocked until I am given what I am due. I am of royalty of the heavens, I am divine. I am a majesty on this planet that wisdoms and intelligences, simply because of who I am, it has nothing to do with ego, it is spirit. That will never be on this planet ever again, and I'm here for unique activations for generations that have not even stepped forth on this planet, and I'm here to heal things that can be healed. It matters not to me about your perspectives or your beliefs. There's a lot of people that owe me, and there's a lot of people that can heal their souls and their karma by doing what is right. I'm only saying these things for one reason, and take this away with you because it's the last time I will say it. I will not say this again. I'm given the opportunity at this moment to say what I've said, to give those people that have been involved in such experiences, whether it's me or whether it's another child or whether it's another woman or whether it's being somebody that's being bought and sold right now. The windows are closing and the doors are closing. The time is up. Those that need to make right on the egregious actions of trafficking, of selling people back and forth to cults and covens and Masonic groups, the dark occult practices when you're not aligning with universal laws, and the things that you have done to interfere with people's lives for money, for trade, for spiritual gifts and talents and skills, which is absolutely misinformation and misguidances, this is the last call. You either do right and make right where you have done wrong and made wrong. You come forward with the fabrications of information and the tampering with evidence. You either do it through your local authorities. You don't need to go to your victims. If you're guided to go to your victims, if you are unsafe and it has been unsafe, and if there's been nothing but attacks, if there's been nothing but projections over 8 years, you will not be allowed to see the people that you've been harming. God will not allow it. So you're going to have to make sure that there will be a lawyer that will take the money that you're going to give with a heartfelt letter of apology, and you're going to say, here's the money I took from you, please forgive me. And you do it from your heartfelt position. And you go away and you maybe walk the streets for a little while, and you maybe get yourself a car and sell your house and sell whatever it is you think that you're so entitled to, that you're so held to, that you didn't want to lose your name for, your status for, and your little role and your title and your little nameplate that's on your office, when it doesn't mean anything, because your soul is what matters at the end of the day. And this is what I'm telling you right now, and the doors are closing. How important is your soul's evolution? Because your money don't matter. Your title and your false ass ranking doesn't matter. What matters is, of a soul are you? Are you going to lift the children and the women and be a better divine masculine and be a true leader and a noble person that has true valor? Do you know what valor is? It has nothing to do with sacrificing anything. Sacrifice your title, sacrifice your money, sacrifice your fancy schmancy home, because that doesn't matter. Sacrifice it. You want to see how evolved you are? Sacrifice the things that you think you are attached to. Then you'll see how evolved you are. Start working with the code of detachment, because you have no right to put anybody's name on a piece of paper and think you own them. You don't. You never will. You will never own that pure soul. I'm a pure soul. I will never be owned. And it's been shown vibrationally to everybody that's been involved, and I'm only saying this for every other person that is involved in what I have been involved in, unknowingly. Without permission, without validation, without verification, without signature, without anything. I have never given anybody 1 ounce of validation or invitation to do what has been done to me. There has been no invitation. There's been no permission. There's been no authority. I've worked with the power of attorney instructions and processes. In every province, it's different. In every state, it's different for a power of attorney. So know where you live and know your laws. Nobody has any right to do an arbitrary power of attorney and not even have you involved. There has to be a medical process involved. There has to be medical interviews. There has to be personal interviews and social interviews. There has to be interviews on every level before anybody is ever offered a power of attorney. So you absolutely know if there's a power of attorney, or if there is wills or estates or insurances where you're not even involved, false marriages where you're not even involved, covert and cult coven Masonic BS where you're not even involved. You have no idea you're even being bought and sold, but your life is going nowhere fast while everybody else benefits, and they're going on European vacations while you're sitting fucking homeless. You absolutely know it's dark occult bullshit, and you're going to call them on it. And I'm going to weed every single one of you out, because I can see the deeds that sit on your soul, and I'm going to call it. This is the last opportunity, whether it's me or somebody else that's just been bought or sold. There's going to be no more opportunities, and it's going to be a shift. And the shifts are going to be to the lower universe, and you're going to sit there for however long is. If you don't care about your children's karma, you don't care about where they end up, you don't care about yourself and where you end up. These are the laws of higher spiritual order, and you're been given this chance through the voice of me. Because I am spiritual higher order, I have the gates and I have the scales, and ain't nobody coming through my gates until you get it. If you're a practitioner, you better know your universal laws, or you will be stripped of your gifts and your skills and your talents, because if you're not using it righteously, if you're not using it for the greater good, you shouldn't be using it. You shouldn't be calling yourself a spiritual guide, because you're not. Because we're walking into a space, dear lighted ones, where it is unity consciousness, and it does matter that you care about the people next to you. Because if you can't care for yourself, you're not going to be able to care for the ones that are going to want your guidance. And they're going to come to you because they respect you and they honor you, and because you do have an ounce of integrity where nobody else in their environment, nobody else that they've been shown has an ounce of integrity, and God's going to lead them to you. Why? Because you got integrity. Because even when you had nothing, you chose to give. And God's going to make sure it's going to come back to you tenfold. Because God shows you in your dreams, and God shows you somehow, some way, that person was crying 10 days before that because they hadn't eaten for 10 days. And they were just waiting for somebody to do a good deed. And they were just waiting for somebody in the court system to do the right thing. And they were just waiting for somebody in the policing system to say, I'm not going to turn a blind eye anymore. And they're just waiting for somebody in their family to say, why do you keep talking about this person that we haven't even met? Why do you keep talking about this person you're obsessed and stalking about? Why do you keep talking about this person you're taking money from? Why do you keep talking about this person you're doing sacrifices on? I'm not going to do this anymore. When are you going to start standing up and being the higher authority for you? When are you going to stop caring about what other people think around you? I can go into any room. I don't care what anybody thinks around me. I know what I know. I'm not here to change your perspective. I'm not here to change your beliefs. I'm here to say this is the point truth about Ascension. There's a limited opportunity for anybody to make it right if they so choose. If not, you're going to sit with everything on your soul, and it's going to be up to you and God, and you and God only. Because the people before you that have been hurt, the people before you that you have raped and sold and you have lied to and you have traded and you have bet and you have sold, they're not going to stand before you ever again. And isn't that sad for you? And you think you're ranked by killing people? You think you're ranked by hurting people? You think you're ranked by putting them on insurance forms so you get to go on a fancy holiday while they sit fucking homeless? They're never going to be in front of you again. You're not entitled to anything except the mud and the muck that you sit in because you created it and you chose to and you refuse to get out of it even though you were given 1,005 opportunities. And that's more than 77 times 7 that Jesus spoke of in the Bible. You didn't think I knew that, did you? Well, what if I told you I was Jesus? Just in a different body, in a different way. 77 times 7. How many times can we forgive someone? 77 times 7. It's more than that, isn't it? How many rituals have I had in my life? And I forgive each and every one of you. 77 times 7 is more than that. There's been impalements on me every day. 77 times 7, that's nothing. I'll eat that for breakfast. And so we ask of you, each and every one of you, be excited to explore and be in union with Spirit in every moment. Spirit's going to offer you things you never thought. It's going to be the miracles of life every time you breathe. Every time you breathe, every time you breathe, every time you breathe, you offer in light, you accept light. I accept light into my body, dear love and spirit. Whatever needs to be fixed in my body, I'm offering light to my body. I'm offering light to my organs. I'm offering light to my soul. I'm offering light to my cells. I'm offering light to my brain. Man, I want my brain to live and be in longevity as much as I can. Can I live till I'm 300, Spirit? Can I live till I'm 300? I'm excited, Spirit. Can I send light to my body and my brains and my existence till I'm 300? And Spirit said, you can do whatever you want. You're going into eternal life. What do you think? Now that's amazing. I'm going to accept light every day. I'm going to accept light. I'm going to see maybe there's new ways I can create. Maybe there's new ways I can help my neighbor. Maybe there's new ways I can help animals. There's so many animals on a planet that need help. What can you do? Do you like animals? Do you like getting out to nature? You want to help fixing the garbage issue? You want to help fixing inventiveness issues and join clubs and join your communities to say, how can we help the children not be abused? How can we help higher education systems? There is so much on our planet that everybody's going to be needed. Who are you? What's going on inside of you right now? Are you excited? Are you excited? Are you excited? Are you excited to be somebody new? Are you excited right now? There's people on the line right now, and I'm saying hallelujah. Thank you, Holy Mother, Father, for giving me the Christed vibration where I can affect people, and I can inspire people, and I can enhance people, and I can give people that last opportunity to be them higher selves. I'm saying thank you right now to those on the line, because there's deeds and there's doers on the lines that have been following certain practices, and they know that they've hurt people. And they're going to come out of that, and they're going to put themselves on the path where they're going to go absolutely devotedly within, and they're going to start healing their wounds. And thank God. Welcome to your higher self. That's what your higher self has been waiting for. I love you. We were waiting you to come out of that position of lack. We were waiting for you to come out of that position of judging yourself and being envious and being discriminatory and being separative. You don't need those things that you were taught, told, and shown because it doesn't mean anything. That's not who you are. You're a divine being. You have infinite life source within you. Why don't you go there? Why don't you play with it? Why don't you practice? Practice being light. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about you. It doesn't matter that they're going to call you crazy. You're not the one that's crazy. They're the ones that just haven't caught up. Just like Tesla. Tesla was 10 to 11 years light years ahead of anybody else that was around him. And everybody around him thought he was a bit crazy. Well, to them they were, because they were about 2-dimensional bandwidth below him. They couldn't imagine seeing things multidimensionally the way that he discussed and he operated from. He was a multidimensional seer. That's why he was a great inventor. He was not supported. He was not loved and honored until after he died. 100 years after he died, that is when he was seen as the true genius that he was. Well, shouldn't he be celebrated now? Shouldn't the people that are true geniuses be celebrated now? There are people in arts and entertainment, there's a handful. There are people in arts and entertainment because it's been run from poor intentions and it's been run from corruption. There are a handful of true geniuses in the arts and entertainment field that are true geniuses, and they haven't been seen for the true genius that they are. Because even the ones that are next to them in the same business and in the same authority, calling them genius, it's not truly what is their true genius and what they're truly being seen for. Because they're far better than that, and they're far deeper than that, far grander than that as geniuses. They've got to get there on their own. And the ones that have been bred from the ignorance and from the arrogance of selling your soul away and having people do the rituals on you to get your highest performance, those are misguided informations, and it's not right at all. It's not right at all. Anybody doing rituals in groups and taking your power away to give their power to you, it's not a good thing, people. Not a good thing at all. So don't believe anybody that says these things in the entertainment world or in a world where they're wanting you to do energy practices that are not benevolent. Never ever have people gather to give their power to you for you to get up on stage and do something. That's not okay. That's not okay. You're not understanding what you're doing, so you shouldn't be doing it. Same with magic, same with sex rituals, same with sex orgies and all these things that are being done. It's dangerous. And again, people are going through their karma. So they're very important lessons. Let's celebrate it. Celebrate whatever's going to come out through whatever cult and practices, whatever the authorities, whatever the judicial process is from here on, because now there's people waking up in the judicial. There's now people waking up in police, and people are saying, no, I'm not going to give my soul away. I'm going to stand up and say what's right. It doesn't matter how much trouble I'm going to get. It doesn't matter how many friends I leave. Because you know what? If those people around you are saying, well, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, and maybe you better not be your full self because people might look at you crazy and people might do this. I don't give a fuck. I've been alone. I've been on this path alone my whole life. I don't give a fuck. I'd rather be alone and be truthful in who I am. And it doesn't matter if I don't make money for 10 years or 5 years. It doesn't matter if I make money at all. I know that I'm going to die and know that I left a beautiful mark here. And it was pure light. And it was pure love and it was pure me. I'd rather be pure me than anybody else. I ain't going to fake. I ain't going to go into any room and be something I'm not. I'd rather stand up and say, this is who the fuck I am. You want to come with me or not? I don't give a fuck. You go be you and I'll go be me. How about that? You stay in your lane, I stay in my lane. You be your best and I'll be my best. And that way it should be. Stay in your own lane. And get out of people that are doing their own thing. And the only reason why I'm going to show up in your lane, the only reason why God's going to place me before you is because you forced your way into my lane. And it's time you had a wake-up call. Because God wants you to be a part of a ride that's bigger and grander. God doesn't do any of this to bring punishment to anybody. There is a higher and better path for you if you so choose. And these are just the way things work in energy. You're going to be given wake-up calls. You're going to be given second chances and third chances. If you're a practitioner and you affect people, there's going to be less and less chances. If you are a world leader and you affect people, you're going to be given less and less chances, and your gifts and your skills and your abundance and your health will all be blocked. These are just the ways that energy is going to work from here on out. Because we're entering into unity consciousness, and you absolutely must know that when you wake up and when you go to bed, you affect everybody around you. From here on out, the children, people, women will never, ever be bought and sold and placed on paper and bid and put into pyramid systems. And you better sort out from here on out, those of you that have been playing in such underground ways. It would be best that you sort out how many people that you owe of such bidding and such betting and such selling. And those people that are on the other end of that bidding, betting, and selling, you might want to start forgiving your debt. Forgiving the debt of people that owe you and forgiving the debt that you owe others. That is the only way out. In a higher order law, that is the only way out. Forgive your debt and move on. And start getting yourself healed. If you choose the higher order path, and I am the speaker through the voice of Mother, Father, God, I am a conduit and I am a speaker of New Earth Light. I am giving you the higher order path. Truth is the only way. Making it right is the only way for the purity of your heart to redeem your soul's deeds. To sit in meditation and to sit in forgiveness, no matter what you are owed, it does not matter. We will see how evolved you are. We will see how much you care about your soul. Forgive debt. Forgive what is owed to you. That will show how evolved you are. But know this, dear lighted ones, because you're working on the wrong side of justice. And that's why I say that. There is a caveat that those that have been working on the right side of justice, like myself, there will be those situations that will be used as global stories for teachings and healings throughout the multiverse, and mine is one of them. I have told God that I have forgiven all debts, and God says no. You're owed what you're owed through the lineages and through the histories of every timeline you've been here and every timeline you've devoted and every time you've cried and every time you've saved people and every time you've given when you had nothing to give. And every time you gave your shirt off your back for somebody else and they did nothing but steal and lie and cheat and laugh on you and defame you and put you in little chat groups where they put you down and they say, look what she's doing now, and they're laughing at you and they're stomping on you and they're doing everything they can and they're giving more lies and defamation and they're using your name for credit cards and they're using your name for fraud and for this and for that. You can't count the things that were done on me. And God said, no, everything's going to come back to you tenfold, and I'm going to lift you and I'm going to show everybody. Because I've been working on the right side of law since the day I was born and every other timeline since. Those working on the wrong side of the law and the justice, I'm giving you a little hint. I'm giving you a cheat code. And it's not a cheat code, it is the code. Forgive the debts, forgive the pieces of paper going back and forth, and you mark it gone, and you mark it given to Mother, Father God, and they will banish it with the violet flame of any deeds that you said that you had righteousness over another, because you don't, you never did, and you never will. There are no such thing as handlers. It's superfluous, it's irrelevant, it doesn't exist. And if you want to be in a realm where there's handlers, and you want to be in a realm where you control and you hurt people and you throw nuclear bombs everywhere because you want dominance, you want to hide your 3D little trafficking business under affiliated business names, and you still want to be seen as a leader, you still want to be seen as a righteous person, then you're going to be moved to the planets where you're going to be moved to. And it won't be anywhere where I'm going to be, because we've been giving you hints and tips and wonderful things to heal yourself, and we've been giving you the righteous way. And if you still refuse it, then you're going to be where you're going to be, and that's your choice. And these are the laws. And because I am who I am royalty, I am of the heavens, and I am divine, I'm saying it very point blank. The only way out is truth and making it right and going to the authorities with your story. Because the people above you that have been directing you, they don't have your best interest, and they're not going to look after you. That's been shown in every day. And if you're running those underground things that you run, pray for forgiveness on yourself and see if you can love yourself long enough to know that everything that you've done is so very wrong, and you've altered the soul of everybody that you've ever touched. Stop touching people. Get yourself healed. Nobody deserves to be bought and sold and traded as if they're nothing, or like a piece of lab meat that you throw around for your little experiment and your little mad scientists to see, and they're going to study and send stalkers and watchers your way to see how you behave and how you act under the most egregious pressures of abhorrence that no person would ever go through unless it's involved with intention and malice and MK Ultra programming. And I say to you that one experience, this has happened to so many people across our planet. The systematic approach that is also called the slow dagger, will they deconstruct you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially, and they'll do whatever they can, and they'll gather whatever people they can, and they'll gather whatever people in the systems to make it look as if you're crazy, as if what you're saying is not true, and they'll go around the circle and they'll deconstruct you in every way they can, unless you're somebody like me, and you work with light, and you have an alliance with light, and your story is going to be used for the collective. And you absolutely are being shown that in every way the only reason why I'm here is because of God. Because God knows your steps before you even make them. Why? Because God's inside of you. And the only way for this one person, I should have not survived. And I'm going to be having a nice holiday, and I'm going to be given an opportunity to absolutely go away in what's called rest. Because I haven't rested. I've been on nonstop fight or flight to survive in this place called Earth, where people act so egregiously that they think they own people, and they hire and they pay people to do spell work 24/7 to keep someone down because they just happen to know they have more. So there weren't stories of insanity. There were stories of genius, because I knew too much and I can call out your deeds, and you just weren't ready to face who you were. So how is that my fault? But you went and fabricated birth information, and you traded me, and you sold me, and you moved me, and you put everybody in my path to rip my life apart and to infect me and to all of those things. But thank God I wouldn't let you touch me, because all the stories that are out there, I've been celibate for 15 years. Ain't nobody's put their dick anywhere near me besides the guy that came up next to me in their car and pulled it out and started jacking off. And luckily he got fired. Maybe that'll be a wake-up call. Didn't affect me either way, because I know who I am. And all the ones that do their sex orgies, and you're trying to conjure my name, and you're trying to bind me to you, and you're trying to come back into my light, and you're trying to come back into my energy because you have a whole bunch of karma you don't want to face. You're going to face it. That's your karma. The decision's already been made. The spiritual courts have already been closed. The gavel hath fallen. We already told you that. But now you're finding out that everything I say is true. Why? Because that's my ranking, and I hold spiritual voice. You will go through karma. The gavel hath fallen, and the windows and the doors are closing. You're not going to come back. We're not going to be friends again. You're not going to dump your karma and your wounds on me. You're going to sit with them. And you're going to be found out, because that's the thing you wanted not most to happen. You wanted people to see you as the fake person that was righteous and doing your deeds behind the dark walls and the dark corridors and the dark business offices and the underground basements and your sacrificing table and your voodoo closets. And everybody will be seen, because everybody had the opportunity to deal with this discreetly, and they chose not to. They chose to play handler and pimp daddy and big boss daddy and big daddy, saying that they're all righteous and they're all religious, and yet what are you doing behind closed doors? Aren't you the demons in this story? I'm going to keep calling you out, because God says you're not godly. I'm the one that you're supposed to face because I am the truth and you're not. You will not move forward. You will not benefit off your lies. You will not benefit off your selling. You will not benefit off your trafficking. And it will be stopped. I am that truth. I am the voice of new order. Like it or not, dear lighted ones, that is why I'm here. Because it's needed. Would you rather experience extinction and then what? How will your money do you then, dear lighted ones? How will you look at your children and your grandchildren in the spirit realm and say, gee, I'm sorry I sold you a few hundred times, but I just wanted to go on that European vacation. I wanted to have one more time to go and touch on children at a younger age. I just wanted to do my things because I didn't want to face my demons and my wounds, so I did horrible things. Can you forgive me, spirit children? At what point are you going to wake up? Sex and touching on children is not okay, dear lighted ones. It's not okay in any realm, in any way. And if your family, and if your brethren, and if your church, and if your pastor, and if anybody says that touching on children and having children at your sacrifice table is okay, then you run the other way and you run far and fast and you take your story to the authorities and you keep taking it to the authorities until somebody in the authorities listen to you. Because it ain't okay. A child should not have to say their story like I have 3,000 times before I'm heard and before someone reaches out and does the right thing. And I'm so very lucky, and I thank God every day for the seeds in my garden. I thank God every day. I thank God every day, and I send them flowers and light, and I send them beautiful visions, and I send them Archangel Michael love. Thank God God placed a few flowers in my garden to stand with me. And they send me what they can just because they can. Because the only way I ate this year because of them. They never laughed at me. They never judged me. They never threw me down. They never have group chats where they're throwing hate at me and they're throwing discrimination at me. They love me, and they think about me, and they hold their hands in prayer for me. And they're the only ones that have given to me. And anybody else that says they know me, they absolutely don't. And I'm going to go back to those stories of the investigators that are on the land. Because you know everything with my name on it, everything with my signature on it that is not the divorce is a lie. There has been no due diligence on any level in any way. There's been no authority given for a medical in any way, in any level. I haven't seen a doctor in about 7 years. I wouldn't give a doctor any authority and whatsoever to take anything from me. 3D doctors and 3D hospitals right now are not the most highest of trusting environments, because there's still Masons and there's still corrupt witches and warlocks that have got their hands in everything because that's how greedy they are. They are so disconnected and they have no idea what spirit is. And if there's people at the highest church and state, those 3 beings and those 3 entities and those 3 businesses and those 3 families and whatever these 3 beings are that are paying YouTube to silence me, and you ask me, how righteous are they? How many people do they stand before and say that they are righteous and they know the hand of God? You better know, dear lighted ones, that if I'm speaking this right now, and you know I am, that those beings that are paying YouTube to silence me, you better know God's got a big plan for you. And your names are going to be known all over the world. And I ask you, who's the demon in this story? Any story that has been about me that anybody's ever talked or heard about or placed in their mouth that has been egregious, negative. You don't know me, you've never talked with me. I haven't talked to anybody except the homeless people that I've talked to this week and this year, and that has been on my path of homelessness for the past 5 or 6 years. Nobody talks to me, nobody knows me. Nobody. You don't have an ounce of say over my life on any level in any way. You're greedy, you're contemptuous, and all you care about is money. And that's why the little pocket watchers, and that's why the thieves and the vampires that are totally disconnected from the spirit, and they're living through their lives and their bodies with demons. And that's why they do what they do, and they act without common sense on any level, because they're acting from that level of their demon now. And it's a dangerous place for them to be, authorities and officials, that I spoon feed you every day you come on my line. Why was it so fast for everybody to believe the man standing before them that spoke nothing but pathological lies, but the celestial, divine, feminine, psychic healer was laughed at and still talked about in little tiny group chats and being teased and bullied and being stalked and followed and being blocked and sabotaged? Why is that? Because you want to stay in the vibration of corruption. And there is a shift out. I'm only speaking truth. This is the way it goes from here on out with Ascension and with light. These are the truths of Ascension. If you refuse to be in the base median of where New Earth Star is going, you will be shifted. If you refuse to make it right, you will be shifted. If you refuse to care about your brothers and sisters of all light and in spirit, they're going to be facing you as soon as you cross over. And they're going to be looking at you, and they're going to have to face you, and you will face them because you do not get away from it. Doesn't matter how you want your way out to be. You will face every single one of those spirits that you have refused to make right with. How do you think I know that, dear lighted ones? Because there hasn't been any person on this earth, there hasn't been any person on this earth, except for the kind, beautiful people that I come across every day right now, because all of my abundance has been opened up. And all of my light has been given back to me, and all my energy has been given back to me, and everybody's being moved out of my energy that has been egregious, and taking and harmful, and raping and taking and stealing. The Calgary people have been cleared out of my energy now. Thank God I'm receiving. How do you think I know that? Because I talk to all energies in all realms, and the people that have passed over that have done egregious things to me in this lifetime, because they passed over for whatever karmic reasons they chose to pass over. The first time that they're brought to me in spirit, and in my meditation and in my walk through life, and spirit will say, this person that did this harm to you, they want to come back to you and they want to serve you. Is that okay? And then I have a discussion with my teams. And then I say, well, if it be good for everybody, I'd like to continue on my way, and I'd like to work with different people and different energies. Can they go off and serve the children in some way and maybe protect the children and have that as an equal karma? They have to balance their karma somehow, some way, dear lighted ones. Doesn't matter whether you cross over. And this is where I said many times before, but you haven't quite got it, because some of you just aren't attuned, and that's okay. This is why I am where I am. This is why I'm ranked. I walk with all realms. I walk with the dead, I walk with the alive, I walk with the awake. I'm a medium of all realms, of all energy, and I can go into that story and I can pull it and I can read it because they need their voice. And they will say to me, if I have done wrong to you in this earthly realm, and I've done wrong to you in this body in this way, I will come back to you and I will be of your spirit and I will be of your service, and you can use me as your footstool. And that is given as an option. And only if that person in that body says, okay, you can be my footstool and you can help me here because I'm going to need some help. I'm going to build a center over there. I'm going to build this over there. Maybe you can come with me and I can build this over here. And maybe you can stop the bad guys from stalking me. Maybe you can do that. And you're going to be used as a servant. How do you like that? Because that's God's way to give you grace one more time, to come and see the beauty of unity consciousness. And when you have somebody that's in charge that actually is a true leader, they're going to give everybody an opportunity to earn their way back to light. And even if you have to be a servant for 10 years, you're going to be a servant for 10 years because you've done nothing but wrong to other people in their home, in the body. And you're going to have to pay it back because that's the universal laws. You got to show that you're ready to be a part of unity consciousness. So if you ain't going to do it here in your body, guess what? You're going to come back and you're going to be my servant in spirit. And Archangel Michael going to make sure of it. And you're going to say, oh no, but I can't. I cannot be anybody's servant. My ego is too big and I'm too ranked and I've got too much precious things to do. I've got my Gucci bag to look after and I got this and I got that. I'm going to be nobody's servant. Guess what? You are. And why I said I walk with all deities and I walk with all conjuring that you think you're dancing on people's graves. Guess who they work for now, dear lighted ones? Why do you think I'm a medium? Why do you think I can talk to the people that have passed? And why do you think we're breaking cases that haven't been solved in ages? Why? Why? I want you to be part of this conversation. I want you to engage. Why? Because life is eternal. Whether you consciously choose it or not, when you pass over, and if there is karma that is left undone, there are options that the spirit realm will give you. And it is on God's grace only, and you should thank God, and you should bow and thank God, and you should bow and thank God, and you should be appreciative that God's given you that option. Because hell ain't nowhere that you want to be. And hell is just a dark place where there's not much going on but darkness. So wouldn't you want to be a servant to something good? Again, everybody's been so turned off because of the misinformations and misguidances, and life is so very sacred. And that sacredness has been left out. And if you go back to my very first video, you go back to my very first radio show, everything we talked about was the sacredness of life. Sacredness. Every part of life is sacred, from the birds and the skies and the way that the beautiful sunrise and the colors of the sunrise and the beautiful, beautiful naked body of your pure lover that has been in agreement with you to be their pure lover, and they're not going to give their life force away, and you're not going to give their life force away, and you're going to hold each other's secrets sacredly. That's a sacred lover. That's a sacred lover where you're not sharing it immaturely, you're not sharing it abusively, you're not calling out each other's names, and you're not sending their name to a group hate chat where they're doing voodoo on your partner, and you're doing spell work on your partner, and you're trying to give your children negative information about your partner. You're not doing those egregious things because you know who you are and you're healed, and you're doing good things for your partner, and you're lifting your partner, and you're healing your partner because your partner heals you. Because it doesn't matter where you go, dear lighted ones, Doesn't matter how you want to take yourself into another realm. It doesn't matter how you want to transition yourself at your soul level, your higher self level, your soul level, and the Mother, Father, God level. You will face your deeds. You will face what you have done, and that's not punishment. Because at some point, your soul will need to know why you did what you did. That is soul growth and that is evolution, whether you do it in the spirit realm or whether you do it here now. I'm telling you right now, wouldn't you want to do it right now? Wouldn't you want to be evolved right now? Wouldn't you want to be that higher version of you right now so you can have a good life right now and you can experience life right now and you can actually hug that person you want to hug and you can actually be a part of the physical celebration of being godly? Wouldn't you want that right now? Or you can keep doing your dark occult practices and see where that gets you. And it doesn't matter when, where, how, or why. You're going to face it all. And you're going to actually go through the experiences because that's what your higher guides do. Your higher guides will walk you through the pain and the suffering that you did to every person that you have harmed. And you will have to viscerally and spiritually feel it at the spiritual level. That is how spirit heals, because those soul fragments are then taken back with the Arcturians in spirit, and the Arcturians work with those soul fragments and they heal them back into Source Creator. That is the Arcturians' primary contract of healing lower vibrational fragments within this universe. And they do it with such grace and they do it with such unconditionality. Why do you think I know what I know, dear lighted ones? Doesn't matter what side of the veil we're talking about. Because I'm a gift and I'm divine, and I get to be okay saying it. Why can't I? Why can't Divine Feminine come forward and say she's fucking amazing? Let's do some more of her teachings, and why don't we pay her for it this time? Because I'm raising the level of all consciousness across the multiverse. You will face all your deeds. And how about you look at the lower vibrational beliefs and perspectives where you're separating everything and everyone and you're doing harm to everybody's soul chart, you're doing harm to their spirit, you're doing harm to their body, you're doing harm to their mental, you're doing harm to their emotional, you're doing harm to the spiritual. And who are you to do so? You're going to look at it and you're going to face it. I'm telling you that right now, and that's 100% truth. You're not going to escape it. Doesn't matter if you're a pulpit leader. Doesn't matter if you're a head of church. Doesn't matter if you're the one right now sending YouTube money to silence my platform. And we'll see when I upload this video today how many views are being pilfered. I say it blatantly and I offer it blatantly. If you go back and investigate everything that's touched my life, you will see that there's about 100 people involved that have been employed, that have been paid, that have taken bribes, that have done everything that they can do to make sure that I do not advance and I do not be who I am. And who the fuck is anybody to say I can't be who I am? Who is anybody? You're stuck in your beliefs and your practices. It ain't taking you nowhere. And you're going to face it. And I'm here to remind you. Dear lighted ones, I love you so very much. We're entering into the most auspicious time for humanity, inventiveness, innovativeness, and coming together in unity, peace, and oneness, where we're going to allow ourselves to create the most profound experiences for the divine children that are indigo, that are crystalline, that are hybrid, that are all the things that we want to be. Heal the wounds within you so you can be a part of this wonderful ride, because we want you a part of the ride. This is unity consciousness. We need everybody. Everybody's hands on deck. You got something to offer. Let's get healed. How about we start there? I love you so very much, dear lighted ones. Ascension sessions, you'd like to get in touch with me. I'm taking new collaborations, new offerings. If you'd like to be a part of that, that would be wonderful. I've spent a little bit long here on the chat line. The next session that I do in a couple of days, we're actually going to do some practices. We're going to do some practices about your clairaudiences. Okay, we're just going to read this through one more time. Let me put my glasses back on. Took my glasses off and then we're going to go. Everybody just take a deep breath and sit up straight in their chair. Sit up straight, sit up straight. Jiggle your body about and get the energy moving. Take a deep breath, full body breath. Do some sweeping up from your root chakra up, sweeping up, and visualize the beautiful white light and the angels bathing you, the angels bathing you, the angels bathing you. You are a divine being of infiniteness. You are a divine being of love and light. You're a divine being of seeing all colors of the rainbow in crystalline light. Crystalline light. Crystalline light means you can transparently see through it. That's crystalline. You're very clear about who you are. You want people to see through you. Yes, see through me. There's nothing to hide. I come forward as I am, dear lighted ones. Let's get excited and lift up all density, lift up all fog, lift up all shadiness, lift it up and send it away to Source Creator. Source Creator, I'm asking my guides and my higher self, I'm aligned with my higher self every moment. I accept light into my life every moment. I accept light in my words, into my thoughts and my words and my deeds. I accept light into my breath. Take a deep breath. I accept light into my life. I want to live lighter. I want to walk lighter. I want to speak lighter. I want to be a vibration of lightness. I want to have eternal life because I can, because I will. I am love. I know I have many gifts I want to offer creation. And I know that I'm going to be a part of this beautiful puzzle of unity and oneness. I have so many gifts inside. I see energy. I see information. I see creation from different ways. I want to explore the stories of energy. However you are excited and however you are guided, you are unique. Don't follow anybody else's path. Don't worry about getting there first. It's not a race. It never will be. Play the long, slow game. Quality is everything. Quality over quantity. Take a deep breath in, fill your chakras with light, see the light going to your chakras. We're going to have our next video about chakras as well. Okay, we're going to talk about chakras and then the clair audiences and the clair ascension, the clair gifts and skills. We're going to talk about that in our next video, and we're going to do practices. Okay, we're going to do that in our next video. We're going to give you tips. So we're going to talk about the clairs, and just keep your chakras open and just do whatever you're going to do. Just visualize. Know that you're connecting with your higher self. Call in all aspects of you. Call in all light of you. Call in all energy of you. So there's clairvoyance, which is a seeing through the third eye. And so we've given you some tips and some ideas and some examples on how to see with your third eye and with your visual eyes, or your brain, because your brain is the actual thing that actually sees. Your eyes are just kind of the window, if you will. And so just practice that. Have every day, practice your clairvoyance. And then there's clairaudient, which is how you're hearing, and your galactic energies are usually spans 2 feet out from your ears back. So that's how I usually explain it, from your ears to 2 feet back, behind your head. That's how the clairaudient for galactic energies, like for the celestials, you'll be hearing the ringing in your ears, and you'll be hearing things in your fields back. That's how I can explain it. It's just how I can explain it. Peripheral, if you will. That's your galactic sound coming online, and they all come online in different times. If you're doing your daily ascension work, you're going to be activated just naturally. You don't have to worry about it. Your teams will activate you based on what you do, thought, word, and deed in your everyday. Are you coming to engage and align in the relationship and connection with spirit every day? Because it's you. You are godliness. Sitting at the tree, opening up to your omnipresent, as we gave you that example at the very beginning of our video. So go back and watch our videos again and practice. That's how you become your relationship and your experience with God, and then you'll be a part of the Galactic Federations, you'll be a part of New Earth creation, you'll be a part of New Earth leadership, be a part of New Earth education, be a part of whatever you want to be a part of, right? So I teach you how to be a part of higher vibrational engagement, higher vibrational councils, higher vibrational co-creation, higher vibrational expansiveness, higher vibrational soul evolution. That's what I teach, that's what I offer. Clairsentience is just your feeling, and I usually feel this clairsentience within my sacral and my solar plexus up to the heart chakra. So it's usually your inner 3 chakras where you're just feeling, you just know what you know. When I talk about the God imprint, God just puts an imprint on me and I just know it. I don't know how I know it, I just know it. Sometimes those imprints are also connected with, it's also connected with when you have a DNA activation. They're sometimes simultaneously one in part in the same, because your DNA is just something you've earned over other lifetimes, the other lifetimes, and those DNAs, those skills are already there. So it's just coming online because now you're going to be out in the public and you're going to need that, say, exercising of demon skills. You're going to need that shamanic skill. You're going to need that herbalist skill. So it's already in your DNA. You've already lived the life, right? So now it's coming online because that soul integration has now been integrated. Because you've integrated that wound or that fear, now you've integrated it into yourself, now you're honoring it in the highest light capacity. You're offering this soul fragment the highest light. This soul fragment, if you said, wow, it is okay for me to be my highest light, I can be in me. This is where I said I gave you that experience of Isis. Isis was making sure that all soul fragments were in alignment for that next level of your soul integration to level up in dimension. So you do have guides that are specifically with you that do look at the other aspects of you to see how they're working with certain gifts and skills that you do have. And so Isis would then go to my guides, and my guides, they would have that conversation in the ethereal time, and they would say, they would come back to my head guide and they would say, I've looked at this, and this aspect, and this is how we can activate her next, and this is how we can inspire her with circumstances, places, or things, or people, so that in this physical body right now, I'm doing more and more that I can to help activate the gifts and skills for this next DNA activation or for this experience that's coming in. Again, that's how you're working with all of your gifts and skills, and you're working with the minutia of all that is godly. Because I want to be all godly. I don't want to just have one thing. No, I want to be all godly. God's going to make me godly. Okay, well, let me feel it. Let me sense it. Let me hear it. Let me know it. Let me taste it. Right? That's being godly. Claircognizant is, again, your clear knowing, and you just feel that Claircognizant is a knowing. It's when you've cognized something. So I know all this stuff, and I can talk about this because I'm cognizing it. I can go into that energy, and I can go into it, and I can open it up. I can feel it. I can cognize what that person or what that energy is going through. Then I can bring it forward. I can teach about it. That's cognizing. When you've cognized something, when you've gone past the point of saying, when we say that, in the manifestation, a belief is a belief, but a knowing is a knowing. So get to the place of knowingness. I am as my name is, right? And nothing comes before that. Nothing comes in front of it. Nothing gets in between you and source. That's why you can never be sacrificed. Nothing gets between me and source. It's a sandwich that will never come apart. It is my DNA threading. Nothing will get in between me and source. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Source is the one I dance with. Source is the one that shows me the beautiful moments where nobody has loved me on this planet, and I can have a vision with source, and the Father God is holding me as a sacred child and looking at a book with me and teaching me the wisdoms of the universe. Those are only moments that only source and I have. Nobody will know these things but me and source. Nobody will know how many times I help insects. Nobody will know how many times I cry for the children. Nobody will know how many loves and prayers I send out for anybody. That's just between me and source. That's cognizing. I cognize myself as godliness. Nobody takes that from me. As Jesus said the day before Jesus was crucified, and Jesus and I were in that conversation, and I was trying to give compassion and to try and understand Jesus' situation. And Jesus said to me, they can't take what I know. They can't take that cognization. I've cognized myself in speaking about the flowers and bringing these stories about the flowers and godliness in the flowers. So why is Jesus' godliness of flowers and godliness of trees and godliness of things beyond the Bible and church and state? Why is that knowing worth crucifixion? Jesus was crucified because of discrimination, and it is exactly what's happened to me in this lifetime, and the whole world will have to look at this story all over again for Divine Feminine and see how much more egregious it has been 3,000 and 5,000 years of being absolutely erased and imbalanced. Divine Feminine has no voice in our collective. Why not? Why are the projections and why are the discriminations and why are the judgments so? I've given you 3 or 4 different ways you can look at it in your own life and be the reflective mirror to yourself. Why is it that everybody in these white-collar criminal secret societies and sects of social organization and elitism, why is it that they believe the divine masculine even though he speaks of pathological lying? And how much of this is of the leaders today? A pathological liar can stand before you and they can say whatever they can say and they can pretend they're righteous and they can say a little resume and they can pretend that they are who they are. They even taken HR courses to say that they're humanization people and they know how to abide by the highest human laws. And yet behind closed doors, this is what they do. You would rather put all of your weight and all of your money, and 100 people would be involved in crimes that they can no longer change now. They've been a part of these crimes that will never ever be taken back. You cannot erase the crimes that have been done. And 100 people, up to 100 people, took this vow to believe pathological lies and to be a part of the scam for money, for bribery, for false clout, for whatever it is, the reasons they chose. Their souls are going to have to do their reflection on their own. But this story holds true for everybody, and why I bring them up in every one of my videos, because you're going to have to face and reflect. Why was it so fast that the human collective can give their promise and to give their weight and to give their energy and their power to a divine masculine that speaks nothing but lies, as opposed to a divine feminine healer that is the Messiah? That's homeless. That's going to take 3 months to sort out my financial situation because of the egregious deeds and the crimes that have been done, false accusations, tampering. I haven't signed again. The only thing I have signed is my divorce papers. Everything else is a lie and fabrication. I've been celibate for 15 years. I don't do drugs. I don't even take aspirin. There's never been a needle put in me besides for blood work that had to be done a long time ago. And why nobody's going to get any blood or DNA from me now? Because my team's knowing the greediness and knowing the egregiousness and knowing the corruption on the planet that has been, my team's changed the constituents of everything that comes and goes in and out of my body. And there's nothing. I live as a hermit. I live as godliness. So everything that has ever been said or done to me, anybody that thinks they've claimed me, anybody that thinks they've owned me in the spiritual realm, they don't. They're talking gibberish. They don't know anything. In any of my videos, does it sound like I would have given any man prerogative and power to say that they claim me and they own me? Seriously? I'm a humanitarian, and I speak for the divine feminine voice that's been forgotten for 5,000 years. Do you think that that would be something that will come out of my mouth? Again, ask your questions, dear lighted ones. Anybody standing before you speaking on another person's behalf, question it trifold before you go any further in any conversation, because you're taking on that karma. Anybody that has been involved in a conversation about me, you are being involved in karma the moment you allow those conversations to take place and you don't do anything that is righteous and say. Shouldn't the person be here in person to stand up for themselves before having an online group chat that discriminates and chastises and ostracizes? And if I was insane, would I be even able to say those 3 words? An insane person wouldn't come up with ostracization. An insane person wouldn't be able to explain to you what I explained to you 3 times over and 10 times over in different dimensions, different fragments of the dodecahedron. Wouldn't be able to do it. I'm a high-functioning person. I'm a high-consciousness person. I have consciousness that you can't even rank to. And I get to say it. That's my ranking. I get to teach however I want to teach. That's God saying, Joanna, Celeste, go out and teach however you want to teach your godly. Because you know that whatever you're going to present to the people is going to be of the highest degree of good, because you see people in your collective that need that word the moment that you need to say it. You got a minute of opportunity here, delighted ones, and you're going to see your chances, and you're going to see your deeds, and you're going to see your choices, thought, word, and deed, no matter what you chose. It's going to be shown to you, whether it's shown in spirit, whether it's shown on the other side, or whether you're doing it now. I'm speaking truth. This is higher order, and it's not going to go anywhere because you choose to believe and hide behind a Bible and pay people to take people out. That's never going to change your fate. Your fate is your fate, and God's going to make sure you're going to stand right where you're going to stand. You ain't going to be given any more money. You ain't going to be given any more health, and your family's going to be affected in every way because you refuse to let go of your ego because you don't know what you're talking about. I am higher order. You want to understand spiritual laws and spiritual order, start investigating it. If you are a practitioner doing magic, I'd advise you to stop wholeheartedly until you're connecting with your higher self every day, until you know exactly what your higher self is saying and your teams are saying, and you can explain your team similar to the way I can. Do you talk to your teams the way I do? You shouldn't be doing magic on anybody if you're doing what I do, because you don't need it. You don't need magic. If you do what I do, you don't need magic. I'm showing you. You want a high class and high vibrational mastery? I'm showing it to you. Be godly. It has nothing to do with magic, it has nothing to do with sacrifice, and you're misguided, you're misinformed, and you will be on the bad side of karma. There's no other way. It's the only quantum equation, is it? Keep telling you. It's up to you. Free will and all. You have your free will to choose. So why is it that all of these people that have been involved, 55 to 100, why is it that they get their free will to do whatever they got to do, and they're still passing my name back and forth, and they're still thinking that they have high ranking, they're going to pay whatever they're going to pay to take me out? Why is it that they get to do that, but I can't say, I don't want to be a part of your little games. You have no right to put my name on that piece of paper, and that paper is nil and void. Therefore, thus then, as I said earlier, those that are on any side of that ring of betting and trading and bidding and selling, no matter what side of it you're on, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But you better think over tonight, because this is your last window. Forgive all the debts of those people passing names back and forth, because it is your only way out. Or you're going to be shifted to the lower vibrational hell if that money means so much to you. And then again, I ask you, again, you're going to go into extinction. I can keep bringing you back to the same place, delighted ones. Doesn't it get boring to be that ignorant? Your money and your false-ass clout and your false-ass stout and your false-ass whatever it is that you think you're putting a name on a piece of paper that somebody's going to owe you. Somebody's going to owe you a life. Somebody's going to owe you a sacrifice. Somebody's going to owe you a 14-year-old daughter you have no right on touching. You have no right even speaking that person's name. How dare you? That is why God has said, all of the sacred are under God's wings, and they will be protected by people like me, because you don't have a right. And I'm showing you in educational form, and I can draw it out for you if you like. Anybody that is doing black web betting, trading, and selling, there is only a window, and it can go one of 3 ways. And you're choosing your way, and there won't be any way back. That is the truth. So you choose. How important is your money? How important is your little trafficking ring that you had no right to start with anyways, because it was all done on wounding and misguided information about power and control and domination? And as Jesus said, do whatever it is you think you're going to do, but you will never take what I know. I cognize it all. I am God. And God gave certain of us that right to teach others. How egregious has life been to the sacredness that God graces you every day with every breath, and the food that you eat and the houses that you stay in, and how egregious and how selfish and how ignorant. How about appreciating life and being grateful for it? How about knowing that the children below you and the children that come after you and the children that are in different generations are here to lift the vibration of this planet, so that when and if you do come back, and if you do, there's certain of you that just might not come back because you just haven't earned it. They'll offer a better vibration. Nobody has a right to touch these children, and I'm going to keep saying it, because you're wounded if you do. And there is no spiritual law. I don't care what mall you go into and what store you pop into. There is none of those stores. There is none of those malls. There is none of those religions. There is none of those orders. There's none of those pulpits. There's none of those churches. There's none of those people that lead it. There is nothing out of anything that's under the lower umbrella of all that source is that says touching and abusing children, incest and raping children and getting family members pregnant, and all that has been done to the egregiousness that has been done in buying and selling divine master healers' names in black webs and calling them porn and calling them strung out and leaving them on the street for dead. There is nothing that says an ounce of this is okay, and you will never be ranked, and you will never move beyond where you are right now. And you're going to keep facing it until you get yourself out of it. There ain't no free pass. It doesn't matter what church you fall under. That is your truth, and I'm reading it out to you. I'm reading the scrolls right now, dear lighted ones, and some of you on the line are shaking in your boots. I am your higher order. So what are you going to do? You're going to forgive your debt every way that you can, and you're going to write a letter of forgiving your debt. Whether it's to the underground groups and the people that owe you, you're going to say your debt is forgiven. You're going to go and you're going to make your life right, because you have a chance to turn things around. And if you choose not to, if you choose to sit in fear and you choose to get that money no matter what, you're going to get that win no matter what, you're going to get that power no matter what, you're going to get that domination no matter what, then you've chosen your path with the path that you've chosen. I don't want to go into those energies. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I am the gatekeeper, dear lighted ones. Nobody has a right to put my name on anything from here on out. Nobody has a right to speak my name on anything but the righteousness of what I teach in my pure devotion of who I am as a divine presence of the hierarchies of the heavens. My name is Celeste, also known as Joanna. But there has been so many bad deeds and orgies and things happened on that Joanna name that I'd just rather let it go. If there's monies owed to me in the name of Joanna, the crimes and the deeds and the frauds and the false claims and the false accusations, we still have to use Joanna until the courts have been closed out. And God says it's time to move into my new name. But I'm already living in my new name. It's already my 5D energy. Because I didn't choose the lies and the fabrication of my birth information. I didn't choose the selling of cult and witches and warlocks, putting presses and hexes and curses on my name. I didn't choose any of that. I took that on to teach the collective. And I've moved through it, and I've transmuted it, and I've alchemized it all. Nobody can alchemize like I can alchemize. And that's why I'm ranked, and that's why God places me where I do and when I do and how I do. Because I'm here to teach and I'm here to offer. I haven't made a penny. So anybody that says any of this is ego, again, you have no idea who you are. Get off my line. I haven't made a penny from anybody except the 1 or 2 clients I talk about, and I'm going to keep lifting them. My clients will go through the gates before I do. I'm here to build and create and inspire and enhance and activate great leaders, and they're going to go through the gates before I do, because that's a great leader. A great leader doesn't push people down. A great leader doesn't sacrifice people. A great leader doesn't put spells and casts on people. A great leader doesn't push them in their face and put them on chat group lines and say hateful things and refuses to make right on the deeds that they know they've done wrong. The stealing and the thieving, the raping and the horrible things that have been done. Those aren't great leaders. They're cowardly, wounded little people. Little tiny children that have not been healed. And now you're adults and you're still not healed and you're still having your tantrums. And your tantrums will get you your consequence. It is just the equal quantum experience. And we love you, dear lighted ones. That's claircognizant, where you just know. It's going beyond, it is, thy name is. I know what I know. That is the knowing. That is getting to know yourself. That is doing the work and the practice. You can only know thyself by doing the inner work. By doing the inner work, by doing the inner work, by doing the inner work. And then again, spirit is always really, anything, as again, when you do your dream journaling, allow dream journaling to be as open as possible, because next week you're going to have a different claircognizant. Your cognizing of that information, of that spiritual experience or that spiritual energy story is going to be different next week. So allow claircognizant to always change and move, but as my name is. right? You got to know that. No, I'm one with source. Source is my compass. I know that. There are certain things that are unchangeable. Source is my compass. And that compass is going to get bigger and more refined because source is getting in a higher vibrational dimension, right? But source is always my compass. Those are things that are unchangeable. My name is. Clairalience, which is the smelling. We talked about that before. That's a part of the mediumship, right? The mediumship is where your taste and your smell, because it's usually things that you've already experienced. That's how you know it's a mediumship, because it's something you've already experienced as a childhood or somebody else. Those are things you've already experienced. Therefore your mediumship in the now moment is going to help pull those informations and bring those energy stories. That's why you do have those moments of experience. If there's a perfume that somebody's wearing and you've never experienced that perfume before, but you're smelling something, so your aliens is going to be, you're gonna have to work with that, right? Usually you get clairalience on things that are familiar to you because you've already experienced it. And here's something that's even wild, and we're going to show you that this is how infinite life is. You can have clairalience even if it's from a different timeline or a different, like, past timeline. If we say past, it's all now, right? If you've had an ex-boyfriend or a lover that used to wear, say, Old Spice, but in this lifetime, you've never known anybody that has Old Spice, but you know what it smells like because maybe a friend had Old Spice. But this Old Spice person was maybe a past lover from past on lifetime. But they're coming back into your now moment that you say, well, I think I remember, let's go smell. So then you go into the store and you smell Old Spice. Yeah, that's the smell I've been smelling all week. What the heck is with this Old Spice? You then go into your meditation. You say, what is this smell that I just realized and I've confirmed through myself? I went to the store, I smelled Old Spice, and it is this Old Spice smell. I'm smelling Old Spice. Who is the energy that's coming through with Old Spice? And you sit down and you do your journaling. You do your work. It could be the person from another lifetime that wants to say hi. They're going to have some way to come and meet you again. This is how past lifetime lovers come back, or a granny or a brother or sister. Your soul family usually stays with you in different ways, and they come back to you in different versions of people, a brother, a sister, or a friend's best friend that you're just going to happen to meet. This is God. This is also what we said about sequencing of events. The sequencing of events that passed on lifetime is going to come back to you because it's ready for you to activate that gift. So it comes through in these circumstances and situations and experiences. None of this is evil. So anybody declaring any of these things as evil, again, they don't know what they're talking about. This is your godly gifts. This is how you evolve your soul's experience, your soul's progression. You're integrating all that you are as a soul. You're bringing those gifts into now, right? And it's coming in through another soul partner that wants to now be in this new timeline with you, or not. I'm just saying, that's just an example. That person may never come back again, but they just wanted to say, hey, now that you've got this gift that's opening up, I'm giving you this as an experience, and your teams will say, yeah, it's a fun thing to play. She needs to work on her clairalience. So let's give her this gift from another passed on life person. Then you have the play, because we're talking about it. You now have the play to go out to the store and smell different perfumes to find the right one. They say, yeah, that's the smell I've been smelling. Maybe it's a pumpkin spice. Maybe it's a allspice. Maybe it's something in the kitchen that you're meant to work with for herbs or for healing. You're going to be given these things for reasons. This is why I have to say the 3 E's are so important to your gifts and who you are and how you're meant to offer it forward. If I didn't do any of these drawings years and years and years and years and years ago, the stuff that I've been teaching for 10 or 15 years, I would have never known that this is part of my gifts. This is how I see into my multidimensionality. Even if it looks very juvenile and even if it looks very two-dimensional, to me, they're multidimensional. I can go to that thread and I can open it up and I can talk about it, because I don't have, obviously, the technology or the resources right now to do the fancy things that the Iron Man movie showed, right? And this is just how best I activate my gifts, and I go into it and I expand my source creator. That's what I'm trying to get to. You can go into anything, expand your source creator, and come out. That's how you're seeing it from the higher perspective. You go into that one little energy, you go into the center of it, and then you expand it to bring out the highest healing, the highest teaching, the highest benevolence for all. That's what God is. Clairalience is, again, the smelling. The clairtangence is the clear touch, psychometry. So that's when you could be given an item from somebody and you can read the energy of what's going on. Just know, I've met some kids and I've had sessions with youth, with teenagers that have had psychometry because their parents have called me to assist them into helping their child understand their gifts. So I have had sessions with the teenagers that have had psychometric gifts. And we've had to talk about how to work with it because they're very highly attuned, and anything that they touch or anything that they go in, they're reading the energy of it. So we have to work with the children on a certain level and have them work with clearing and cleansing. If, they're traveling around the world and they're going into these, places of stores and things like that, and they can pick things up and they're getting the energy of anybody that's touched that day. Their gifts are very refined. So psychometry, we're going to have to do some education and some teaching on this just so they don't become overwhelmed and they turn their gifts off, or they don't. Luckily, the ones that I've talked to in this, they're very excited about it, and they didn't care to do that much of maintenance with their gifts or the clearing and cleansing, that they're already off and running. So I mean, good for them. They'll find their own way to feel balanced, because there will get to a point where you're taking on too much energy and you will be imbalanced. This is why we have to talk about sustenance and maintenance with clearing and cleansing your fields and being grounded. It is fun when you're first starting it, but the kids will all feel their way around it, right? You have to navigate your way in and around of what is too much, and then pare it back and work with your teams on what to pull back and what to turn down and what to turn up. This is why you have to work with your teams. And this is all godliness. God wouldn't allow this to be all in your DNA. I mean, it's all godliness. So, and again, people that talk like that are just, they're working from their fear state, and they don't want to move from where their fear state is. So let them be, and you just move in a different direction. Clairgustance is, again, as taste. That's with your tasting thing. So you can be sitting watching a movie, and then all of a sudden you can have a taste of something that you're not eating. Or, this happens a lot, you can be out in a mall, you can be out in a family gathering, and you can be sitting having a conversation with someone and talk and have a taste of something. This means that there's energy in the space around you where it wants to be recognized. And again, we just said to you earlier, ask your teams to give you that again. Go find out what that is. Write it down, because if it's an herb, again, it might open you up to your shamanism, it might open up to your healing skills. So you have to, again, go in and work with it. Go into that, open it up, and start working with it. This is what I teach. This is your vocational alignment. And then there's clair empathy, and that is just working with, again, a lot of children have this nowadays, and we have to do a lot of healing. So those of you that are healers, we're going to have to, do a lot of light education, light wisdom, and healing with regards to the causal body, the emotional body, and the mental body. And we're going to have to do a lot of work around bringing higher education, higher wisdoms for counseling, for healing those that have been abused, and those that have been covertly and intentionally abused in the trafficking rings and in the covert dark occult rings, where they're manipulating energy, they're manipulating mental projections, they're manipulating the emotional body, and they're making children feel things that they don't want to feel because they want their false narratives to go forward. And they're doing this a lot in the court cases as well. They're working with the dark occult practices on manipulating empathy. They're manipulating how people feel. They're manipulating thought projections so that they can sway the narrative into their false stories. So again, going into the story, opening it up and seeing what's really going on and what's being done. Somebody that speaks truth wouldn't go into what I go into. I speak truth. This is it. This is the truth of energy. And those that want to navigate and manipulate their way around it, they'll be doing the deflections. They live in deflection. They live in projection. And when you're standing before them, they're putting about 85% of their energy into projecting an outcome for you to change your sense of being. So those, I'll end it off here. Those that are investigators and those that are intentional healers and those that are going to be speakers in front of the whole, is going to be very, very important that you stand in the power of you before anybody that you are interviewing or, you're questioning. If you're in those psychic investigator questionings, interrogations, you're going to have to stand purely in knowing of who you are, so that when you're interrogating those people that are master magicians and are master tricksters, they're shapeshifters, you're not going to be swayed. I would suggest certain things if the investigators are going to have me out to teach classes in this, so that you can protect yourself before and after the interrogation. And then it also goes for court cases. So the judge is what I would suggest. The judge is working on what I'm suggesting as well. But anyways, those are things to come. I just thought I'd mention that because it does, the clair empathy, this is how they work with, any one of these things can be manipulated. But if you're standing and working with it, and you stand and knowing who you are, and you're owning who you are, and you're reclaiming your power every day, and you're working with clearing and cleansing your fields, it doesn't matter who anybody is standing before you, they're not going to manipulate you. But you have to be tested. Right? You're going to be placed on the path of everybody before you, because our universe is just shifting out. You want to know that anybody before you, you're going to be calling in as you're healing your wounds and as you're healing your soul fragments of dark occult manipulation, because you had lifetimes in it. You're going to have to clear all those soul fragments out. But as you do, and as you are, you're aligning more into a pure version of you, and you know how to stand more purely in your power, and you're going to have more gifts offered and opened up to you, but you're not going to have people sway you from their false narrative, right? So energy is energy. It can be worked from, manipulated from a various level of experiences, negatively, neutrally, or positive. You just hope to love yourself enough that you're going to attract more and more positive people in your energy field and know how to work with it no matter what's being offered. So we hope that's wonderful, dear lighted ones. I love you very, very much. We gave a lot of information today. So again, go away and have some time to rest. Let your body integrate. Let your body process information, because that's your body processing information at a multidimensional level. Allow yourself to process, allow yourself to integrate, and then give yourself a nice relaxing day. Go out into nature, go out and have some fun, go out and go swimming, have yourself a relaxing experience, and then tomorrow, take out your notebooks and listen to parts of the video again and start marking down the things that you want to start learning and investigating and expanding into. I've showed you how to expand. We're going to keep going over it. Every video, we're going to do practical tips. I'm going to teach you how to be godly. Okay, work with your gifts, work with your skills, and then you choose how you're going to offer it to the collective, because everybody's going to be needed. Everybody's hands on deck. Everyone's going to be needed. Healers, teachers, leaders, painters, artists. We're going to need a whole new entertainment field. It's going to be amazing, right? So we want to keep the momentum, keep the momentum, keep the momentum. I want to teach you the highest practices of being a benevolent teacher, healer, leader. Speak up for community abuses. Speak up for secret society abuses. Know how to work with energy if anybody approaches you. Know if you're being violated physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or in dream time. So always do a protection seal around your consciousness at dream time. Before you go to sleep every night, do an archangel seal of protection on your chakras and on your auric field. Say the protection spell before you go to sleep at night. Have archangel protect your dream space. And you should be teaching your children this, if they so choose. Right? They still have to invite light into their life. They still have to invite light into their consciousness. But they have equal right to invite light into their consciousness as they do darkness. But we want them to hopefully choose, we want to say that they're going to have their path anyways. They're going to have equal opportunity to learn dark and light, because that's how you grow. But when you go to sleep at night, because so many more people are learning, so many people know, because there's so many people involved in cults and covens, but a lot of the cults and covens are being brought up, and they have to get themselves out of the negative practices. There are those that are, because they're in close proximity to those that are in familial cults and covens, they do abuse dream time, because it's easier for those that abuse energy, that harvest energy. They do it through dream time because it's the easiest way for them to get it. So it's just another practice. It's just like brushing your teeth. As you put your head on the pillow at night, do your Archangel Michael dream consciousness protection seal. And that's just pure of heart, calling in the electric blue light to seal your auras, to seal your chakras, to seal your high dream consciousness time, so that your seals are not touched, your consciousness is not touched, and nothing will come in and out of your dreams, whether it be food, drink, or sexual experience. Nothing will come in that is not of the highest benevolence. So it's just a statement like that of higher knowing. This is my dream time. It's my time to work with my guides. Get out. And it has to be stated like that. You have to have that. Again, that's clear knowing. You're cognizing that you are the commandmentship of your energy. Nobody comes in and out of your dream space. I can't even count the number of times I've been dream raped, where they come and slide into your dreams, and they come and slide into, and they'll put a mask. They'll make themselves look like somebody you trust. And this is how these people do it. They manipulate. They manipulate energy. They know if you trust somebody, they're going to come in as a brother, or they're going to come in as a loved one, or they're going to come in as somebody you think is hot, and they're going to play that role, and they're going to see how far they can get with you sexually. So you're going to have a sexual dream about somebody, but actually it's the person that you want least. That's how these people get your energy. And they're doing it to children, because that they're working from their demon. So we all have to understand. We have to understand higher light consciousness. These teachings have to be brought to the forefront. Church and state isn't going to teach you these things, because some of the church and state are the ones that are doing it. I mean, how did these people in the cults and the covens, how did they learn it? How did the people that had no knowledge beforehand, but they go and join a cult and a coven, how did these people learn it? They're taught by somebody. So again, you have to understand who's the people at the top dogs. There's a top dog somewhere, and they're being paid. These are global things, and as long as we get the light wisdom out there, how okay is it of any leader to make sure that the negative have their ways to do whatever they can to whoever they can, however they can, but the light doesn't have their way to get out and teach people how to protect themselves? How is that okay? So again, it is very rare for somebody like me to been through what I've been through and survive and talk about it and come teach about it. God made sure there was going to be one person to teach what needs to be taught. Because on every level, the darkness was given their rights and their leeway to do whatever they wanted, however they wanted, and they were given more rights. They were given their leeway to sway court. They were given their leeway to make sure the corrupt stay walking, to make sure the pedophiles stay walking, to make sure that the children keep getting lured. But the people that are actually teaching it get subjugated and suppressed, and they get attacked on every level. And every time we come and teach about it, we're even suppressed even more and attacked even more. So how is it that the corrupt people get to do what they do, and they get even more to do what they do, and yet we don't? We don't get our chance to say, no, that's not okay. We're going to start protecting ourselves. So again, you obviously know that it's corrupt and it's brought from the top down, because they're the ones that are saying, no, we want it to stay corrupt because it's easier for us to control you. Okay, well then that's not okay. I mean, again, the only reason why I'm here and the reason why I survived is because of God, because my story will be known, and I will be teaching those that want to learn how to protect their energy and to advance their energy. We have equal opportunity. There's been nothing equal about any of this on any level. So how's that okay? It's not okay. Time is up. So go back and share our videos. We taught you how to use your protection seal at nighttime. Work with your healing teams at night. Healing your team at nighttime is your healing time. That's where you advance your cellular, your physical, mental, emotional, biophysical. That's where your cells work up and keep up with your crystalline light. Right? So it's important that is important to you, and that you're working with that type of energy to heal with intention. I heal with intention. I'm accepting, I'm integrating light in every breath. And then just have that mantra as you're falling asleep. And then do your protection seal. And then in the morning, you're intending to work with light throughout the day, however it comes to you, and let God bring your miracles to however you want it to. Anybody that wants to book a session for 5D client vocation or vocational alignment sessions, activation sessions, healing sessions, classes, whatever it is, connect with me, collaborate with me. I haven't signed anything to anybody to give permissions on my work. I don't sign those permission slips. Nobody talks on my behalf. Nobody speaks on my behalf. Nobody writes on my behalf. Nobody's been given any permission on anything in any way. I'm a humanitarian. Nobody would be given those experiences. So again, be discerning. If you want to work with me, speak to me directly. If you want to talk with me directly. Don't ever take anybody else's word about me, who I am. Right? If you're not getting it from me, the horse's mouth, I'm a horse. That's who I am. If you're not getting it from my mouth, don't believe it, because it's fabricated. Okay? We love you, dear lighted ones. Mother and Father God love you. The systems of light love you. Don't forget to call in, if you so desire, if you're okay, to call in those beings that want to start working with you and preparing you for first contact. Because they're with you all the time. We're in this new galactic energy, so play with it. It's still so fun. We love you, dear lighted ones. We love you. We love you. Bye.